TV news. The average American can't figure out why they feel like absolute trash.
We go live to a triple-boosted science truster who says,
It's just her genetics.
it's just genetic?
Yeah, literally. I never eat red meat. I switched to seed oils only because, health. And here I am.
We're here with a man who's just glowing from head to toe. Sir, what's your secret to your health?
Statins and blood pressure meds. Hold up, I'm about to have a heart attack.
What's your secret?
Just avoid the sun. I have skin cancer. That's why I do this.
Good thing they listen to their doctors. Not much more they can actually do.
True. Let's thank Big Pharma for being the main source of funding of all of our propaganda.
Sponsored by Pfizer, the largest criminal organization to ever do it.
We promised to take the red dye out of the Skittles. Oh, thank God. Red dye was the real emergency. Let's not talk about the other colors, the fluoride, the chemtrails, and the deadly mRNA altering our DNA. Back to you, Jenny.
Thanks, John. We're here at the local 7-Eleven and want you focusing on what's in the candy. And this way, you won't notice the rising autism and heart disease in children.
Well, autism and child heart disease isn't that big of a deal. It's not like the jab causes turbo cancer or anything. Jessica goes live to find out how to prevent it.
How are we going to prevent cancer?
Do you know how much commission I make off chemo treatment? Next question.
What's the best way to stay healthy in today's world?
The key to getting healthy is lowering your cholesterol. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Look, just trust your fat doctor. He once watched a 1-hour lecture on nutrition. Welcome back to Jake G TV.
Trust the science. Trust the science. Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or as we like to call it, the Trtlchief podcast, where we try not to mess the podcast up. How are you today, gentlemen?
Doing well.
Doing well. Oh, and before I forget, hey, Cash, where are them files at? Not letting it go. Not letting it go.
Don't let it go.
And speaking
Never
of
letting it go.
That's right. Never, never. We'll be dead first. Speaking of not letting it go, tonight, Trevor has done a deep dive on the one and only, a relatively speaking deep dive.
There you go. That's
something better. Approximating a deep dive. 10 minutes of research on Brandon Biggs. And he's going to razzle-dazzle us with some information on the notorious Brandon. We're going to begin with that. And then, apparently Andrew Tate and Bonnie Blue decided to have a conversation. This will not be rated PG-13. We're going to...
We hope not.
Try to look at this from a faith perspective and generally comment about the horrible status of society. And then, since Trump is doing a live stream or a speech tonight, live stream, boy, look at me, a speech tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about Ted Cruz and Tucker Carlson's interview. Again, that will be pertaining to faith. And basically comment on Ted Cruz's use of the scripture, let's say. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And then we'll react live to Trump's speech and just see what happens. It's kind of a different show tonight. I guess you could say we're experimenting. I'm terrified, but we're going to see how it goes. So, all right, Trevor, let's talk about Brandon.
I'm terrified as well.
Don't worry, you'll do fine. You'll do fine. I'm the one that can't shut up at the right time. So tell us a little bit about Brandon Biggs. What did you learn about this charming man that has left us so conflicted? You learned nothing? What?
Nothing.
Okay.
No, we've done a couple videos, which I was just going to have you play just a minute of each one of our previous videos.
A refresher course?
Kind of a refresher.
Okay, all right. So,
this is one of our first ones, us watching Mike Winger's videos.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Is Brandon Biggs, an actual prophet? Is he not? It's kind of where we went with it.
All right, so let's see what I said here at the beginning here. Am I going to eat my own words or not? Probably. Okay, I'm moving on.
It's a good
idea. The bullet misses in the initial prophecy. The bullet hits in the boast. Sound waves from the bullet bust his eardrum in the initial prophecy. I'll confirm this more later for those who might doubt my interpretation. It's his own interpretation you'll see later on. A bullet hits an earlobe in the boast. the eardrum is fine. There's a brand new prophecy here, 2 of them. He saw blood flowing down his face, and he even told us which ear. Now, do you guys hesitate for 1 second? You won't by the end of this video, but if now, do you hesitate to believe that if Brandon had pointed to the wrong ear, that he would just have said, yeah, I just motioned to an ear. I didn't know which ear it was going to be. I just motioned to an ear. He takes credit for something that was totally not explicit. Every detail he can take credit for.
That's fair, but he got the ear right. So how relevant? I'm going to argue with myself. It's not fair. The ear was explicit. Anyway, sorry. So what are we focusing on here, Trevor?
So, okay, now play. So that was the very beginning, our first reactions, if you will.
Okay, and at this point, I'm a believer-ish.
Yeah, you were believing.
Okay.
Cody and I, not really so much.
Yeah, okay.
I was on the fence. I don't really remember.
You don't
Cody
remember?
said something. I wanted to listen to that.
You want me to keep going? Because I'm sure.
It was on this one or the next one?
Okay, well, we'll go to the next one for starters. All right, so this is number 2. All right, here we go.
For the most part, you don't have an eardrum pop and then boom, there's blood on the face all of a sudden. But ears are very vascular, as we have all learned in the past several days, and they do bleed quite a lot.
People get in trouble in the prophetic. You add to and you take away from what you're seeing. So
here's a good lesson. Now, Brandon's going to teach you how to be a better prophesier because he's you see, what he's doing is he's depersonalizing his error. He's turning into a lesson.
What? What? Did you say something?
I said, this is how you lie, everyone.
Well, I don't know if he's lying. Like, that's what...
Brandon Biggs is about to explain to you how to lie.
I'm open to the idea
Listen to what...
that he's wrong.
Listen to what Brandon's about to say.
I know, but
He's
I've
gonna
also
tell you
watched
how
the
to
whole
lie.
video, too. Dude, So this is maybe trippy. We'll play that here in a minute.
Yeah.
Now, I'm open to that he's wrong and he's not a prophet. I'm not convinced by any stretch that he's lying. Stand your ground, you wussy.
Like,
I'm not sure. Maybe.
Have you ever lied?
No, I'm perfect. I am a saint. I never do anything
Okay, right there.
wrong.
Right
Okay,
there.
okay.
Good
So
spot.
100 million figures. Okay, see, I'm a saint. I stand by it. Well, all right, what we got to learn, Trevor?
Okay, so I was like, you know, I don't believe him.
Okay.
Cody obviously doesn't believe him.
Yeah.
You're on the fence, you know, with the ear thing. I kind of wanted to just drop the whole narrative and be like, what's this guy's history? Who is Brandon Biggs?
Right.
So that's where I started.
Okay.
I started with, I just went to Google search. So if you want to follow along with me, I'll show you my work.
Okay.
I just went to Google search and typed in, who is Brandon Biggs?
Okay.
That's where I started.
You want me to type that in now, or you want me to?
What did you find?
What'd you find? Yes, I'm on pins and needles.
So, anyways, I found out that his middle name is Dale. Brandon Dale Biggs.
Okay.
Through anyways, when I searched it, all the news articles about him were saying he's a pastor who predicted Trump's assassination.
Right.
He's a prophet who predicted Trump's attempt. And basically, I went through as many of these as I could, and all the articles were reading, Brandon Dale Biggs is a self-styled Christian prophet of a man from Oklahoma, has his own YouTube channel where he makes prophetic predictions. They were all saying pretty much that.
Okay.
And this is, like, I've got it in Microsoft Bing. Who is Brandon Dale Biggs? That's what pops up.
Okay.
Usually, when I search for someone who is got a big name, a Wikipedia page will show up. Something about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I could find.
He's not that
Anywhere.
important to have a Wikipedia page.
So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So he hasn't fallen. So we're saying he hasn't fallen on Wikipedia's radar.
No.
That's telling. Is
yeah.
it telling? Do we care?
Do we care?
I don't know.
If we don't care, I'll just stop talking.
No. I'm
move on.
just wondering how significant it is if Wikipedia has anything on him or not.
Yeah, I feel like Wikipedia
No.
is like the internet's history book. So
Yeah.
this guy's just not important.
Well, it's like that snarky middle schooler that didn't pay attention and only kind of like half wrote notes. It's like the Spark Notes version of human history. So, if you were a communist. But anyway, so.
Anyways, I could not, for the life of me, find any history anywhere on any article anywhere of this guy. Couldn't find it.
Okay.
Nowhere.
That's fair. I mean, a lot of times when you see people like that, it's because they're pushed. Like somebody put them into place when they don't have a come up background, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of blew up if he predicted the ear thing, but are we saying that explained why he got so big all of a sudden? Or are we saying the CIA? Because everything's the CIA.
I'm not saying anything yet. Excuse me. Actually, I'm not saying anything at all. It's Google.
Okay, so you weren't able to find anything on the guy, no matter how hard you looked.
History. So I got back on his YouTube channel and looked at his social media.
Okay.
He's only got a TikTok, which is basically the same thing as his YouTube just shorts.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
There's nothing that points to any history of where he came from at all. Nothing. I couldn't even find where he went to church, but it does say he's from Oklahoma. That's all I could figure out.
That's interesting.
Where from Oklahoma?
Yeah, what
So,
is he out of Tulsa? And that ORU?
The only thing he's got that points him to Tulsa is a P.O. box number. That you can send him mail to. That's it.
Well, that means he's got to be local then. He's got to be in the Tulsa area.
Fart bomb in his P.O. box.
Oh, for Christ. Cody's going to be driving around Tulsa. Where is he? I'm close enough. I can get him. I can get him.
Smell him.
So anyways, I was like, you know what? Some people use aliases. Gamers, not gamers. And some people use fake names so they can hide better from people. So if you'll pull up that third tab of the gamer dude.
All right, we're pulling up another tab of the gamer dude. So
Frustrated gamer. This is another Brandon Dale Biggs. His middle name is Dale. He has a Wikipedia page, and he's just
what?
Yeah.
How many followers does he have? Let me see here. 3.3 million subscribers. How many does Brandon Biggs have?
6.
We'd have to go to his.
Well, no, if we're going to sit here and hang up on the Wikipedia angle, let's see how many subscribers. Maybe the reason the Wikipedia thing is smaller is because his YouTube channel is smaller, and this guy's a big gamer type. So therefore he'd get more attention, right?
Yeah, so we'd probably need to pull that up, huh?
I can. Yeah, I can look it up if you'd like.
Okay, I don't remember the name of his channel.
Brandon Biggs. Oh.
Brandon Biggs.
Hang on a minute. It's not. I don't have the share
I haven't
window,
watched it in so long.
But I do have.
Well, I watched it like last week.
It's last days, I think.
Just pieces.
Yeah,
last days.
Okay, here we go. 500,000. So his YouTube channel is correction, lest I be inaccurate. 500,044K or 544K. So there you go. So he's a smaller YouTube channel. That would explain the smaller Wikipedia article, perhaps.
Nice.
Okay. No, there is no Wikipedia article. There is one on this Brandon Dale Biggs.
Right, because he's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if people want to look more into that, they can. But that's what I came across.
Sweet.
So
and
conclusion
I was
is
like,
Brandon Biggs is a loser.
So the prophet Brandon Biggs, I was like, I went back and basically restarted at Google, who is Brandon Dale Biggs, and I was like, what if his name is not Brandon Dale Biggs? Because there's the real Brandon Dale Biggs right there.
Okay.
Just a thought.
Two.
There could be two.
That's a theory. It's a hypothesis to chase.
It's just a theory.
So,
I'm not
okay.
saying this is truth. I'm not saying anything.
Okay, so you had a theory and you ran with it.
This is just where it went.
All right. Where did the rabbit hole take you?
Guys.
Okay, go for it.
So I typed into Google again, who is Brandon L. Biggs? Same stuff. Went to Wikipedia, tried to find him. I couldn't find any history on the prophet, dude.
Okay.
And anyways, where did I go from there? Oh yeah, I was going to have you do this live if you want.
All right.
We're doing it live.
We'll do it live.
How do I search on Google? So pull up Google search.
All righty. Okay. I'm going to get rid of the share screen, though, really quick. So we got Google search, all right?
Now just type in Brandon Dale Biggs.
Brandon Dale Biggs.
Earnhardt Biggs.
And then go to images.
Images. All right, so we'll go back to share screen. So this is his famous Trump prophecy. It's all over the internet.
So anyways, I just picked one.
Okay. Picked one what? Like a picture?
Yeah, scroll down a little bit. And of course, it's not going to show up.
What did you find, Trevor?
Pick the one where he's holding his ear.
This one or this one?
That one.
All right. Okay, so we're on News, Oklahoma News, Sky News 18.
Right click on the picture. Go down to visual search.
Visual search.
Where is your visual search?
I don't know. No, that was an option. So I don't have a visual search, huh? Okay.
Wow.
What'd you find? Just tell us what you found.
Just tell us what you found, man.
Okay, so pull up the Wikipedia page of...
Just tell us what you found.
I'll tell you.
Okay, so we're pulling...
the Wikipedia page of that guy.
Okay.
Yeah. Frank Caliendo's picture popped up. And tickets to his show.
Uh-huh.
When I did a visual search on Brandon Biggs.
Okay. Why?
So now pull up that video of Frank Caliendo and just play it.
Coach, after what do you deal with that adversity?
We need to do everything better, both offensively and defensively.
Coach, when it comes to your defense, you
We're on to Cincinnati. 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 We're on to Cincinnati.
Welcome to Impressionable. Today we will be counting down our top 10 all-time favorite Frank Caliendo impressions. American comedian Frank Caliendo has made a name for himself as a sports impressionist as well as a frequent member on Mad TV. In the early 2000s, Caliendo performed stand-up on countless late-night shows, including Letterman, Conan, and The Late Show. Recently, Caliendo has made appearances on Fox NFL Sunday to give his predictions of the games and show off his long list of impressions. Starting at number 10, Frank Caliendo does an impression of Jeff Goldblum on The Rich Eisen Show. Known for his wacky voice and mannerisms, Goldblum is a world-famous actor.
Yes, trying to figure out where Bill Walton is. I was in Thor. Yes, is that what I was in? I believe.
So do we need to wait for him to say, hey, church family?
No.
Are we saying that this man is Brandon Biggs?
This is what popped up when I did visual search, was this guy.
Ah.
But what are you saying?
This guy is a master impressionist.
Oh my goodness, this is an Alex Jones's Bill Hicks type thing. That's where you're going with this.
Oh my God.
See, that's what I was
Why are you trolling us? This is supposed to be a serious thing. Okay.
I was trying to be serious. This is where it went. I was trying to find a simple who is Brandon Biggs, and this is who I came across.
This is a nothing burger, Trevor.
That's what I thought. That's where I thought it would probably go.
We need a side-by-side comparison. How will we figure this out? Oh my goodness, Frank, we need you to go, hey, church family! So...
Anyways, so I actually did try and debunk this.
You tried to debunk it, okay. Where did that take you? Where did that take you?
The last thing that I could find at the bottom of this page is somewhere on Frank TV. He did something in 2023.
So did I.
So, but that's also about the same time that Brandon Biggs started his YouTube channel.
It's all coming together.
And I was like, this is
together,
stupid.
Gary. It's not. It's not coming together.
So, yeah. Since you guys don't believe it, we can stop there.
We gotta figure out, okay.
I'm not making any accusations. I'm just saying this is where it took me. And so I was like, I'm going to debunk this so I can show them, hey, this is not him. But I couldn't find anything to debunk it. And now I'm like, I'm stuck.
So the moral of the story, AI is stupid.
The moral of the story is I'm back to typing in Google, who is Brandon Dale Biggs.
Brandon Biggs
I'm just
is
looking.
a big homo, dude. That's all you need to know. He's just a big homo.
Cody, you are in the perfect situation. Really, you both are. He lives near the both of you. You could find this man.
I'm gonna
You
find
could
him. I didn't know that.
interview this man. See, Trevor
am
did come up with some interesting information. You guys are within
He's from
reach.
Oklahoma, yeah.
Yeah, and he's from
Sure.
Tulsa. I guarantee you he's probably in the South Tulsa area. I'd bet any amount of money, because that's where that whole, like, prophecy type stuff is. It's right
He
by
probably goes
ORU.
to ORU church.
He might. Well, I
Well,
would
that's
have.
another thing is
I could have
couldn't
met
find
him.
What church he pastored.
I could have met him and never known. He could have been in my class. I never would have known. Maybe we took theater together. So.
Yep.
My mind is
The smaller the
blown.
world gets, man.
Oh my goodness! Now that's a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
We could have been within walking distance of each other the whole time and never even knew. Oh
We're
my
gonna
goodness
set up an
gracious!
interview with Brandon Biggs.
You
Brandon
guys
Dale
need to
Biggs.
find him. You can.
Yep, we're gonna find him.
This is
We're just
on
gonna walk
you.
around,
This is
see if I
on
can
you.
find him.
All right.
Even though he doesn't do interviews.
Just go to shilly churches until I see him.
See, you guys have to do the Project Veritas thing though, or I guess the James O'Keefe Media thing now. You got to have your cell phone.
Trick him into a gay date.
Go see if we
You
can
got- you
stop
gotta
him
fight-
for a bit.
He's married. You're not going to find him on whatever Snapchat. But all you got to do is sit around in those like fast food joints down there in South Tulsa. I
Oh, that's
guarantee
a
you.
little judgmental, Gary.
I didn't
You're
say
calling
it.
him fat?
I said he is a connoisseur of fast food. I did not make a comment on his weight. Thank you very much.
He's a connoisseur of McDonald's
He is a
cheeseburgers.
shush. That wasn't where I was going with it. You said it. Those are your. Oh my goodness, I am in trouble. I'm trying to be nice. Anyway, no, you guys can find him. He's in South Tulsa. You could just frequent like the Schloskys down there. There, that's not. You'll find him sooner or later.
Oh man, that's funny.
So you guys want me to see if I can find him and stalk him?
No.
I don't think
That's
that's
how you get
legal. I can't affirm that you do that, sir.
No,
I guarantee you, this dude is super paranoid. So if
You
you were
think so?
following him, he would call the cops on you.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
Yeah. But anyways, I just
Oh, you're trying to
It's-
hurt me.
I
As far
just
as-
walk up and
Gotta go
down
to
Riverside.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
Just walk up down Riverside Park. Just go up and down Riverside Park. You'll find him.
Brandon,
where are you?
I need a prophecy.
I need you to
Please save
prophesy
me.
for me.
Oh, I'm here. I'm here. The Lord told me that I was gonna meet a guy on Riverside and I'm not a prophet, so.
Okay, well, I see. Well, see, hey, Trevor's research was not totally unfruitful. See, now you
Yeah,
guys, you just need to do the James O'Keefe thing and just storm him at some random cafe and harass the poor man and then get thrown in jail. It'll be great.
Yeah.
It'll be
Sounds
great.
fun.
You guys will up your street cred. Our YouTube channel will gain subscribers. We'll do a live stream from prison. It'll be fantastic.
Yep.
So-
Hey, I've already got the old tattoo. So.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure in jail that means something.
It means Spider-Man.
Huh?
Yeah. You're in the
Spider-Man.
web system.
Oh, you're in the web. You're in the system, so you're trapped in the Matrix. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well,
gotcha.
Brandon
Speaking
the
of the
Prophet
Matrix, we're gonna
is
talk
not
about
in
Andrew
the
Tate.
web.
Oh, that's right. That was a good segue. That's a good segue. I gotta give you
Good
credit
one.
for that. Good one. Okay, so I guess we're wrapping up the Brandon Biggs episode. So Trevor and Cody are gonna go find the poor man, and we're gonna do an interview and get this settled once and for all. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, because we're
Scare him
neighbors
half to death.
apparently. So, all right.
We're gonna set up the interview at your house, and so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you drive 2 hours out of your way, but you could. Yes.
Just to make it a huge pain in the butt for him.
I live in this town. You know, I live in the suburb of Tulsa, but yeah, we're gonna go to Missouri because we hate you. Yeah, I'm sure he would respond well to that. So, all right, well, we're gonna call this one good. So, if you are watching the live stream, stay with us because we've got more to talk about.
Thank
If
you.
you're watching this after the fact, I don't know why, but that's okay. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Trump is up, by the way.
Okay, well, then we need to hurry.
Let's turn that on.
Oh, you want to just do it now? Okay, well, we can do it now. That's fine. Let me...
I mean, right? If he's talking, right?
Yeah, he's on.
Is he on? Is he shaking hands still?
No, he's talking.
Okay, well,
he's
we'll...
up there. It looks like they already did intros and everything.
Really?
Let's live stream, boys.
All right, then. Hang on here. I've copied the link. So I guess we're going to temporarily postpone the show and do a reaction to the live stream. That was sooner than I thought. That's okay.
Yeah.
Though.
That's what
Sorry.
she said.
This is live. This is live television, boys and girls.
Story of my life.
I've got a Canvas ad. I should probably unite that first. Get started for free. Okay, so I guess after the live stream, we'll talk about Andrew Tate and Bunny Blue.
Depending on how late this goes.
We'll be here all night. Or I will
No.
be. I don't know.
You think?
I hope
He can't
not.
talk that long, right? He's like 85 or something.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me rewind to the beginning here.
Look,
So he just started. Trevor, you're so good. Good timing.
I told you I was paying attention.
You are on the ball. Look at you. Oh my
Except
goodness
for
gracious.
finding history on Brandon Biggs.
That's okay. That's okay. You found out where he lived and it wasn't creepy at all. So
I found out where to send the mail. I didn't find where he lived.
we're joking. We're joking. We didn't find out where you live, Brandon Biggs. Don't sue us. It was just your P.O. box. We're not liable.
Whatever, with Israel and the West, and part of that goes back into the history of Iran. You know, the Shah of Iran.
Social media is that we have completed what he calls very successful attacks.
Thought he was talking.
This is the beginning, right before he comes on. I had to rewind a little bit.
Natanz and Isfahan.
Oh.
How? It looks like President Trump.
We're going to be like 5 minutes behind everybody else.
And others, it looks like
I was
Secretary
hearing
Hensel
Trump, and I'm like, there's no
and
Trump.
Secretary of State
I
Marco
still had
Rubio
mine
here.
playing.
Let's listen to the president after the strikes on Iran.
A short time ago, the U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, God, for helping us kill all these people.
I think they just went after the nuclear facilities. I don't think there were like collateral damage on that.
There you have it. President Trump.
That was surprisingly brief. I was shocked by that. We've got 3 minutes left. Like, we got 27 minutes to kill. Good night. I guess we're gonna argue.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Oh man.
What are we arguing about?
The objective morality behind this operation.
Yeah.
So what
Is
exactly?
it good to kill, Gary? Is it good to kill?
Have you read The Good Left Arm?
No.
Ehud.
It's
Judges.
a simple question. It's yes or no.
In certain circumstances, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you sit in that.
What do you mean let me sit on that?
That it's good to kill.
Okay. Yeah, it is. Like, if somebody does something bad,
great.
You kill them back.
Kill them. Yeah.
So
what did Iran do?
Well, Iran funded October 7th. Okay, first of all, let's take a step back here. We need to... What do you think, Trevor? Because I've already, like, fumed on this with you. Do you think we should do the Tucker and Carlson thing first and then come back to this? Or do you think we should have this debate first and then go to the Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz thing?
Well, I mean, this is a little more fresh, and we did just watch the live stream.
Okay, so we want to have our initial debate first, right? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, it would make more sense.
Okay, all right, then let's do it. Okay, so Cody, you go first.
I mean, I know nothing about this. I'm going off what he just said. I think it's ridiculous that we're killing over. Oh, they have nukes. Like, this is the same story as Afghanistan. The weapons of mass destruction. It's all bullshit, all the way across the table. Trump initially said no new wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck is he doing?
Lying.
Well, I don't think he said no new wars. And to be in
Yeah,
Trump's
that was literally a party line he used.
Did he use that word? Well, I will say, you might be right, but I will say this. He did make it very clear that if Iran ever did try to get a nuclear weapon, he would do this. Like, that was a clear red line for him since 2015. So this isn't a new position. It's not like he changed his mind on Iran. Now, I guess we just have to talk about the politics and bleed into the faith thing. From a political standpoint, I've been torn because on the one hand, I have my religious sentiments that believe we should go after, like we should protect Israel. On the other hand, I think it's pretty obvious the deep state has been setting this up as a trap, and they've really wanted a war to kind of throw off Trump's domestic policy. Like, if it ended tonight with these strikes on these nuclear facilities, it probably wouldn't be that big a deal. But what do you think the chances are that it's going to end tonight?
There's zero chance.
Yeah, we're probably going to end up going in there, and this is probably going to kill a lot of time, and it's going to rip the MAGA base in half. There's a lot of negative consequences to this. So I've been
continuation of Iraq, dude.
Well, it's the same plan. It's like the continuation of that whole strategy that Bush started. They've been trying to get this done for years, and this is just more of the same. Basically, the deep state got its way. They've been pushing this for forever, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. So I'm torn between my absolute contempt for the deep state, but I do feel like we have an obligation to protect Israel. And
who's Israel? Like your loyalty to Israel comes from the Bible, right?
Correct.
Okay, so who's Israel?
Well,
the Orthodox Church believes it's you and me.
Nah, see, I don't believe
country that was established in 1950.
It's used in different contexts, and so the question is, what is Israel within the context of the Abrahamic covenant? Because Paul would say not every one of Israel is from Israel. Now, that would be using Israel in the context of the Jeremiah 31 covenant, right? So that in that case, we as Gentiles have been grafted into a Jewish covenant. So the covenant, like the Israel, I understand that the Orthodox believe that. In my opinion, I think they're wrong. I don't think Israel is the church. I don't think that's correct. From Paul's standpoint, the Gentiles are being grafted into a covenant that was meant for the Jews originally. And so the way that you would understand that analogy is basically we're like foreign nationals or like an immigrant into Israel, as it were. So we're like immigrants into this covenant. We're being grafted in. So we're not actually Israel. We share in a covenant that's meant to benefit the whole world, but that covenant was originally meant for the Jewish people. So it's not like Israel has ceased to exist. The Abrahamic covenant is still in play. The Jeremiah 31 covenant did not negate the Abrahamic covenant. It negated at least the sacrificial system, the sacrificial aspect of the Levitical covenant, but it didn't get rid of the Abrahamic covenant. And so the idea that all nations are going to be blessed through you, I would argue, still applies because the Abrahamic covenant is still in effect. That would be my position, very broadly speaking. So
it's so broad, I don't know what you're saying.
I know you'd have to be like into the whole theology and understanding covenants and stuff, and it's a back and forth, and people have different positions and all the rest of it.
Do you think this country that was established in 1950, do you think these people that look like Ukrainians that got kicked out of Ukraine with the big noses and the little bald spots, you think those people are the chosen people of God? And we're all grafted into their little group.
If you mean, do I think the nation of Israel is like the nation as a corporate body is Israel? No. But I do think that the people there are Israel, the people with the bald spots and the big noses as you describe them. Yeah, I do think that they are the people of Israel. I do think the Jews still exist, and I do think those people are Jews. I don't subscribe to this whole false synagogue thing. I've heard about it in passing. I'll admit I don't really, or what do they call it? The synagogue of Satan. That was the conspiracy theory. Yeah, I've heard it. I don't buy it. But I'll admit I'm vague. I'm not super familiar with it. So if you know more about how that theory works, like, could you explain, like, what's the idea behind the synagogue of Satan thing?
So I don't know. You brought that up.
Well, you acted like you knew what I was talking about. I think I've heard Bill Schneblin and I think Owen Benjamin mention it, but I'm not super familiar with it. And to be blunt, I don't really buy it. But I could be whooped in that debate potentially because I'm unfamiliar with the concept broadly. I just kind of have heard of it in passing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I don't know. I don't want to be mean, but historically they've been kicked. This group of people has been kicked out of every country that they inhabit. I mean, like over and over and over and over. And
But what are you inferring from that?
There is an argument that if they were the chosen people of God, it would make sense because when you feel like you're the special boy and you're chosen by God, you feel like you can do whatever the hell you want. And so you end up upending every country that you inhabit because you're the special boy and you can do no wrong. So there's no conscience there, so to speak. I mean, I could empathize them in that way, but I'm not going to make claims that these are the chosen people of God, period. Like I find that ridiculous. And the fact that we're killing people for them because they're afraid of nukes, which may or not be real. I'm just like, no, that's stupid. This is like the ultimate form of defensiveness.
Yeah.
Like, you ever been in an argument with your wife and you get defensive and you're like, I just trying to. That's what they're doing.
I never get defensive because I'm always right. No, I have a different take than you, obviously. Let me put it to you like this. I always think back to the Black Plague.
Okay.
I think this is a lot of conjecture on my part, but broadly speaking, the history is correct. So during the Black Plague, obviously people were dying en masse, except the Jewish community. And these people, because they did not understand germ theory, assumed that the Jews were poisoning the well because they were the only ones surviving. And this actually led to a genocide of the Jews around the time of the Black Plague. Now, it turns out that wasn't the case. The Jews were the only ones taking baths because Europeans were filthy. Now, if you have a plague that is spreading through an area that's wiping out a quarter of your population, I believe it was a quarter of Europe that got wiped out. But you have a concentrated group of people that didn't get wiped out because they actually took baths because of their rituals and their beliefs in the law, then a couple things are going to happen. Number one, the Europeans are going to resent the crap out of you because you lived and their neighbors died. Number two, the government system's going to, fall apart. And so that family that survives is going to naturally be more prosperous because their lineage gets to keep their stuff, and they probably are able to accumulate more stuff because everybody else's lineages are wiped out. And so I think you see systems like that where the Jewish people, because who knew God is actually real, they were following laws and protocols out of faith, even though they didn't understand the context around it, and they wound up surviving things that wiped out other people. And they've always been routinely more successful than the people around them, and people start getting jealous and run them off.
Because they use the people around them.
No, it's because
they don't do labor.
No, it's because basically people... It's not that simple. Like, look, if you are the only one with money in a community and somebody else wants to start a farm, but they don't have the resources, they're going to come to you because you're the only one with money in the community because everybody else died, right? So you're going to sit there and loan those people money. They eventually became the banks because of that process, but that's not because they're nefarious and evil. A bank is not inherently bad.
You trust the banks?
No, not right now, but that's not because they're ran by Jews or something. It's because things and institutions and things like that, they get corrupt over time. That happens everywhere, constantly. Right. There's nothing inherently special about that process. But these people were wealthier than the people around them because they survived a plague that literally destroyed the feudal system. Like the entire government system in the entire world. Well, you were talking... No, I'm addressing your first argument. The first part of your argument was these people are kicked out of every country they're in because of some misplaced arrogance. I say, no, you're wrong. They were the ones that survived a lot of tragedies. They have routinely been more successful because they follow their law. They have inheritance. There are aspects of their law that actually, for example, crop rotation, like rotating your field, not using your fields over and over again until there's nothing freaking left. That's part of the Levitical law. So if you follow that, you're going to be a better farmer than the stupid pagans that use their soil until there's nothing left and create a dust bowl. So these people have always had, their law has been effective because God made it. And so they've always been more successful than the people around them because they've actually listened to it most of the time. And so people get jealous of that and eventually run them off. You're seeing that with situations other than the Jewish people now. South Africa is the same thing. Those farmers went in there and resurrected a bunch of dead land. And then basically the people that were like the pagan tribes that had no concept of property saw how prosperous the Dutch farmers were. And they said, we want that. Well, it was the same thing with the Jewish people in Israel, specifically back in the 1870s. There's a book, The Israel Test by George Gilder, explains this. So in I believe it was the 1870s when the Zionists came down, they actually revitalized that land. At the time, the average population of an Arabic person in that area was like 30, because they were constantly going to war and killing each other. Well, the Jews got kicked out of the European countries. They came down. They practiced good farming. They basically resurrected that land. All of a sudden, the populations of the Arabs starts to stabilize, and then all of a sudden, all these other people come in and they repopulate that region because basically the Zionists had come in and fixed it, essentially. I'm being overly simplistic, but you get the idea. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, what happens is over time, the people who are living in that prosperous land but haven't necessarily worked for everything go, we want that. And you see it over and over and over again. People who are displaced but have good disciplined practices will come in, fix up an area, and then the people who tore that land up before them will go, we want that. What happened in Israel is no different than what's happening in South Africa. It's the same crap over and over and over again.
I see that.
So I don't think it's their arrogance or whatever. It's because populations...
we should go in there and nuke all the blacks? Is that what you're saying?
Have they built nukes that you're aware of?
No, I don't believe in nukes. I think they're fake.
I know, and I don't even know how to begin because I don't agree with you. But I mean, how are we even supposed to have that argument?
Same thing from Iraq.
Now that's a valid point. The deep states lied in the past, so the question is, do they even really have nukes? I think that's fair. I'm not gonna go to the extreme of nukes aren't real, but I think you are right to suggest that the deep state might be exaggerating the situation, and so
we need a story.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right about that. Hence my own moral conundrum. But I will say that I think genocide is wrong, and I think we have an obligation to stop genocide if we can. And the Iranians have been screaming genocide against the Jews for 40 years. And so
allegedly, I don't speak Arabic.
I've listened to the tapes. They're screaming death to America over and over and over again in every language you could possibly want.
That's because we're horrible. We act like the world police. We go steal opium and oil and all that shit.
But why would you want to? Why would you want to kill an entire nation? I don't want to kill every Iranian.
Well,
I don't want to kill every Persian.
We consistently go over there and disrupt their industry.
That doesn't mean you should sit there and say an entire nation should die. I mean, I understand.
Why?
I think I understand what you're saying, and that this
political
political situation didn't happen in a void. I think I understand what you're getting at from that perspective. But they have still threatened to kill people, and it's not really that big a deal to us because, good luck trying to kill us. We're on the other side of the ocean. But it is a big deal. Yeah, you're not worried. I'm not worried. But Israel has good cause to be worried. Iran's much bigger and much closer. And so if they ask for help,
they're the chosen people, so God will protect them.
Well, whether you think that, I think
So
that,
are
obviously,
we
but
being the hand of God.
Well, I don't.
America is the long arm of God because Israel says so.
This is my moral conundrum. I don't know if it's God's will for us to help Israel or not. That's what I think, but I was torn, at least at the beginning of the week. So I don't know. That's what I believe because of the scripture. But putting that aside for a second, I don't think this situation is comparable because Israel has asked for our help. And I think if we can help them, we should. Because, we do benefit from our relationship with Israel. Tel Aviv is a tech hub. We test out our weapons systems with them, whether you like that or not. There is a mutual relationship between our countries. We are allies, and that relationship is not entirely one-sided. So there is good reason to help them.
Has there, and I'm asking this as an honest question, has there ever been a time when Israel helped us?
Yeah, they give us intelligence information.
About who?
About like other countries in the Middle East. Yeah, you could say that we have bad reasons for it, but you asked, are they helping us? And I'm like, well, yeah, the intelligence communities are helping each other.
They're helping us be awful.
And look, listen, if we actually get the gold dome up, it will be Israel's technology that helps us get it up. Like Trump's whole idea about the golden dome or whatever, that's based on Israel's tech. It was Israel's idea. We may have sent them like those parts that they used, but it was their concept. They built the Iron Dome. And they are lending us that technology, the chip technology. Like, that's what I mean by the technology in Tel Aviv. That's a hub. That's something we use. So it's not a completely one-sided relationship. From what I understand about it anyway. My big concern and hesitation is the deep state clearly wants this war, and the deep state never wants anything good. And I believe that it's good to prevent genocide. The deep state doesn't care one way or the other.
Prevent genocide by committing genocide?
You
prevent genocide by killing a bunch of people?
I don't think attacking nuclear facilities, again, if they had them, is actually genocide. Like if our country is if they are committing genocide, they're not telling us about it. They're not declaring it openly. So
Oh, you mean like Palestine, bro?
That was not genocide. That's nonsense.
Okay.
That was not genocide. That's complete nonsense. Genocide is the express targeting of a people group simply because of their race and killing them en masse because of their race. That is not what happened in Gaza.
Indeed.
That is not what happened in Gaza at all. Those people had been using those hospitals and those schools and those work camps as basically human shields for their tunnel systems for years. They'd been complaining about it.
Hamas is an intelligence group.
That I don't know. I know Alex Jones has said that ad nauseum. I have never heard the evidence for that or the story behind it. So if you're aware of the details behind that, please fill me in because I am completely ignorant as to why people say that.
What's his name? Ron. He's an old politician, old dude.
Ron Paul?
Something. Yeah.
Okay.
He talks about it, that Hamas was created by Israel in the 80s. Like, he was there.
Okay, I know they say that, but why does he say that? What's his evidence? Like, what's the story? Like, what happened?
I can't repeat it. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I can't make up my mind as to whether or not I believe that until I actually hear the story. Like, Alex Jones also says Israel caused 9/11. He's made that assertion like a million times. And I'm like, dude, I can't evaluate what you're saying until you tell me the story, and I have something to look up and check. Like, people can throw accusations out, but I need details.
Yeah.
I mean, I need something. I'm not saying they're lying. I just don't know anything about it.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got me. I just think any group that wants to perpetuate a war is they're part of the industrial complex.
Well, Iran wants to perpetuate war. It's not like Iran's going, oh, please don't bomb us. Oh, no, we beg you. They're going, bring it on. We could take you. Do it. Do it. You won't do it. You're scared.
I mean, if I were the leader of a country, I would be like, I'm not worried about anyone else until they come to my side of the fence. And then I'll kill them.
That's not Iran, though.
Like, stay out of my house.
In fact, I'll take it a step further. Now, this is some conjecture on my part, but I do think this is right. And I'll start with a story to demonstrate my point. When I was living in Seattle, I saw one apartment complex. There might have been two. I might have heard of a second one in passing, but they were burned. They were burned to the ground. And these attacks on these apartment complexes were blamed on economic terrorists. Economic terrorists had burned these apartments to the ground. In my humble opinion, they were not economic terrorists. Now, maybe the guy who lit the match might have been an economic terrorist, but the person who funded the attack, the person who told the terrorists where to be, was somebody from the apartment industry up there in Seattle, because what they would do to set those rent rates is they wouldn't let any competition. And so every time a new apartment complex got built, they'd burn it down. They wouldn't let any new infrastructure be built so they could set the rates. Now, this may not be this is one of the reasons why the new atheists were so wrong about everything, because terrorism, even religious terrorism, is a pretense. Those foot soldiers might believe it, but I guarantee you the people in charge do not believe it. Terrorism is an economic weapon that they use to control the region. Why do you think the Houthis are going after a canal instead of Israel? It's because whoever their boss is has told them to go after that canal because that's where the energy is getting shipped from. That's where they're getting the oil, like they're attacking the oil vessels. So why do you think, like, what was it, Dubai? They were playing in a marching band, YMCA for Trump. Why do you think Dubai gave them a plane? It's because not just Israel, but everybody in that area saw, even if Trump didn't say anything, saw a passive and illicit promise that Trump was going to do something about Iran. Because Iran has been bullying everybody with terrorism. That's why they're funding a bunch of these terrorist organizations. Not just to control Israel, although they'll use it as the rallying cry for their foot soldiers, but to control the entire region. It's an economic weapon. And I guarantee you that those countries that did those trade deals with Trump, like, I don't think it's a coincidence that Trump did this big Middle Eastern tour right before doing this. I think this is part of the trade deal. I think Trump was basically like, we're going to deal with Iran and we're going to stabilize the region. Because why do you think Obama gave Iran billions of dollars? So Iran could fund the terrorists and continue to destabilize the region. Because the way that the deep state and these governments work is they destabilize these smaller countries and then they raid them of their resources. And they use the religion as an excuse. And
That's
so
what we're doing.
No, what Trump is doing is he's taking out the major hub for the terrorist funding, and in so doing, stabilizing the other regions, hopefully, if it works. But the theory is
they're just going to keep doing it.
If they don't go after the deep state, because that's what I think Trump is missing. I think Trump is not wanting to admit that the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and probably Mossad and MI6, all of them, are destabilizing that part of the world for the oil so they can get their companies in there to take the oil. That way, Saudi Arabia or whoever doesn't get to build their own oil company and start, making money themselves. They keep blowing things up and keeping things chaotic down there so that our companies can continue to make money. They keep everybody else poor so we can stay rich. The system is vampiric. Trump is trying something else. He's trying to stabilize the region to make better trade deals, because the idea behind this economic theory is a rising tide raises all ships. If they're more stable, it's easier to get our energy out. And so this is basically, if you get rid of Iran, or at least get rid of their threat of nuclear weapons, because it's the terrorism stuff and hey, we might have a bomb and we can't shoot the United States, but we can shoot you. If you get rid of the big bully, the big dog in the area that the United States CIA has been funding for 40 years, then you can stabilize the region. That's what I think this is really about. Israel's a part of it, and Israel has a right to be scared, but that's not the only aspect of this. I think there's an economic trade deal going on as well. Because there's
we're causing our own battle here. Like, we're fighting ourselves.
Because governments and the deep state are Machiavellian, and they believe in keeping other countries poor and destabilizing the region. They consolidate power by keeping everybody, other countries, and us on the back foot. They go, you need us, you need us. They create problems so they can continuously scream, you need us.
I'm just like, why wouldn't we defund these programs at the CIA? Like, the CIA is funding this, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm furious with Trump. That's why I'm not happy with the administration, because they won't go after the deep state. They won't go after the CIA. They won't go after the FBI.
A war.
I think Trump has been... I think that they believe that they will basically be able to create this trade deal, but if they don't get rid of the CIA, you're right, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
It's going to collapse.
They're not,
and it's not going to work.
After the root.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're like, it's like this tree is a problem, so I'm going to cut some limbs off. But
you're exactly right. Mm-hmm. That's the problem with this.
So this is stupid. We're just killing people for no reason. We're still funding this. This is a forever war, just like in 1984.
Yeah,
it's just going to perpetuate.
I think if they don't deal with the CIA, you're right. You're absolutely right, because it's these Machiavellians. It's not the elected officials doing this. It's the deep state. It's the CIA people that are creating these situations. In fact, I guarantee you, it's these people Like, if you'll remember, they blamed Iran for the assassination of Trump a year ago. Ted Cruz was appealing to that in his interview of Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that not only has the CIA bubble-wrapped Trump, but they bubble-wrapped the Congress, and they prepped the Congress to believe that before they ever took a shot at Trump. But not only that, I think there's some CIA operative going to Trump going, this is going to be your legacy. The people of Iran are going to build a statue to you. If you get rid of the mullahs, they're going to love you because you're a liberator. And then they're going to Netanyahu and going, you need to get rid of Iran. They've got nukes. They're so close. They're going to wipe your people out. And then they're going to Iran and going, they said you tried to kill Trump. You didn't try to kill Trump. They're only saying that because they mean to attack you. And they're pitting the three against each other. It's like the sum of all fears from Tom Clancy. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And until they get after the deep state, this isn't going to accomplish anything.
But who is the deep state?
CIA, NSA, FBI,
Israel.
and the oligarchs. No, not Israel. Netanyahu has been bubble wrapped the same way Trump has been bubble wrapped. That's why I think Alex Jones is wrong. I think these guys are wrong because the deep state isn't Israel. It's literally these career politicians, or not even politicians, career bureaucrats that have buried themselves in this giant labyrinth of departments. And it's going to be almost impossible to even dig them out, which is why I'm so furious with Bongino and Cash, because they're like, well, we just need to get rid of a few bad actors. Trying to clean this up that way is like trying to dissect an elephant with a scalpel. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So we have to abolish the CIA. We have to abolish the FBI. We have to abolish the NSA. If Israel was smart, they would abolish Mossad. And if Britain was smart, they'd abolish MI6. They'll never do that, but that's what needs to happen before this gets any better.
But instead of doing that, we're just going to bomb the shit out of everybody. Yeah. Pretend like we're God.
Yeah, so this is my frustration because I think the Tucker Carlsons and Steve Bannons of the world are right in that this is the deep state doing it, and we have to deal with them, and we have to prioritize dealing with them. But at the same time, I'm like, I do feel like we have an obligation to help Israel. So I am torn. This is my conundrum.
Well, I don't know. I feel like your obligation to help Israel is unfounded. That's just my opinion.
I understand. I know. And we can keep going back and forth all night if we wanted to, but
I don't think we need to.
I think we
agree pretty much.
I think we've explored it. Trevor, you got any thoughts?
Negative.
Negative. All right. Well, now that we've I think kind of I don't think we need to go into a full debate and keep going back and forth. I think we've kind of done the 3,000-foot view, don't you think, Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess since we're here, we'll go ahead and, did I pull up that Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz interview? I did not. Hang on a minute. Let me pull it up.
4 T's and a B.
4 T's and a B. So.
Stupid.
Before the 3 T's.
Yeah. 3 T's, 4 T's, 7 T's. Who knows?
Let's go, Brandon.
Carlson and Ted Cruz. All right. Excuse me. Oh, hey, just a sec.
Okay.
Hello. Did you bring me coffee?
Ooh,
I love you. Thank you. You just pour it.
Hello.
Great.
Amazing.
Sorry, the headphones on. She can't hear you guys. All right, thank you. You can just set it
Coffee
anywhere.
break.
I appreciate it.
Joey, I said hi.
Sorry. That's great. Thank you.
No, he doesn't have his headphones on.
All right.
Oh, my coffee's cold. I'm jealous.
I know, right? So.
My coffee's fire.
Ha!
Nice. All right. So I want to make some points about Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. I was annoyed at this because I felt like Tucker Carlson participated, to put it kindly, he participated in gotcha journalism. I don't think these questions were fair.
Wait.
That's not to say I agree with Ted Cruz on everything, but...
Is this a new segment?
No, this kind of bleeds into the Iran thing. This is what we're going to talk about. My original plan was to talk about this for like 5 minutes and then go into Trump's speech because I thought it was going to be like 20. And then Trump talked for like 3 minutes and it kind of nuked my plan.
Isn't that funny? He said, this was the best attack that's ever happened.
Did he really? I missed that.
Yeah, he was like, He's like, with absolute precision. No one's ever done an attack better than this.
Yeah. It's
Did you get that from The Simpsons?
No, Trump says that kind of shit.
yeah,
all the
it's
time.
yeah, it's just his nomenclature.
Yeah. He's like, I have the best pants in the world, made by the best seamstress, the pants seamstress.
The pants seamstress. Oh my goodness. So I don't know if I can find it on the
Especially
spot,
for you.
but good night, guys.
Senator, thank you.
So I don't know how to do this because I've been trying to focus on a way to articulate my opinion while staying calm and gentlemanly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to try. But I want to preface this by saying
Just
when
remember to keep breathing.
Yeah. Musfaba. When I first watched this, I guess I would be leaning more towards bombing Iran now, but when I first started watching this, I was like, dude, I don't know. For the reasons I just described. You know, on the one hand, I have a Ted Cruz's religious opinion about Israel. On the other, I'm like, the deep state wants this, and we're stepping on a landmine. So I was like, I don't know what the right thing to do is here. By the time by the end of this, I was like, we need to bomb Iran. We just need to bomb Iran, which is not a good attitude. I should stress that it is a character flaw when you get so angry at a reporter you want to bomb a country. That is not an admirable quality. So we shouldn't encourage that sort of emotional impulse, but that was where I was emotionally. So I've been trying to find a way to say my opinions in a gentlemanly manner, but there's a couple things that I just want to really hound on that I don't think are helpful. And since this is kind of a faith-oriented subject, we need to talk about Ted Cruz's response as to why he believes we should support Israel, and it's a biblical appeal. So I'm going to try to find these quotes really quick. Cody, do you have anything to say while I'm looking for sound bites?
No, I don't think so. Just that, did you know Tucker Carlson was brought up in a densely CIA populated neighborhood?
Yeah, I think he's mentioned that before, yeah. So,
yeah. Just want to throw that in there real quick.
So are you not a fan of Tucker Carlson then?
I don't like anybody on TV really.
Okay. So let me start with this and then we'll end with the Bible subject. I want to really hit this AIPAC thing.
What is AIPAC?
It's a lobbying country for, it's a lobbying group for Israel, like people who believe we should protect Israel. There's a coalition called, I don't know if that's the right word, but you know, a group called AIPAC that funds politicians who also want to support Israel.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So this
Are
was
your subtitles in Russian?
In
They're
this
in a
one it
different
is.
language.
They are in. I think that is that Russian?
Yeah, it's Russian.
I don't want to say yes because then someone's going to go, you're stupid. That's Bulgarian, idiot.
Right.
So, all right, so let's play this really quick.
You're playing Russian roulette.
I guess.
Question: Israel spies on us. Well, so does every other country. Why are you mad at Israel?
I guess. Oh no. I'm hardly the one who's. I've never taken money from the Israel lobby.
30 billion, 300 billion.
So can you elaborate? And again, I'm going into this as someone who's always liked Israel and still does. But I also think at this point, given where we are, it's fair to ask rational questions about what the benefits are.
Good.
So does Mossad share all of its intelligence with us?
Oh, probably not, but they share a lot. We don't share all of our intelligence with them, but we share a lot. It's a close alliance.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian. You don't think humans are all... Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work. As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us, and I'm not...
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that, and by the way, I'm not mad at them.
Do you like it? I'm
That's
sorry.
a good question.
I find that a completely disingenuous question.
I love it.
Listen, if you think you can create a world where countries, even allies, don't spy on each other, you might as well just ban crime while you're at it. I mean, that is completely unrealistic. Everybody spies on everybody. No, I'm sure Ted Cruz is not like that. Nobody likes it. But you would be stupid to think that isn't happening with everybody. So
I want to answer the question.
He did answer the question. He's like, I'm sure they do. And I'm
Right,
okay
but
with
do you
that
like it?
because I accept reality.
Right, but do you like it?
Well, if you'll notice, if we go on, Tucker Carlson isn't going to give him the chance to answer the question. He's just going to keep gerrymandering, or is that right? Filibustering. I think that's what it is.
Filibustering.
Yeah.
You're an American lawmaker, so I just
but
want
Tucker,
to know. Hold on, I want to know your attitude. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion.
I said guiding, the overwhelming. I wouldn't say only.
Is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is in America.
It's an easy question.
That's a stupid question. Like, guys,
No,
these
that's
are
a
like
question that I would ask.
sleazy questions. Okay, they're sleazy questions.
Nah.
They're sleazy questions because it's like,
simple.
oh, is it good for
Oh,
Israel
you're
to
just avoiding
spy?
all the nuance.
Yeah, because everybody spies on everybody. Do you want to literally
it's
not
good.
have any allies ever because you're mad that people spy on you?
Eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, bud.
No, that's why. How does that make your point? That makes my point. You tolerate a certain degree of stupidity because you understand people are people and they can't control everything.
No, when you find spies, you kill them, and you don't make deals with that country again. You say, get
Then
the
you
fuck out of my
wouldn't have
country.
any allies ever.
Okay, we're the biggest freaking country in the world. Who cares?
You don't get
We
to
got
be
big
the
boy
biggest
pants.
freaking country in the world if you kick away every country that spies on you. You don't even get to the top. What, you think America would have had the French's help if we'd like arrested every French spy?
The French suck at battles, so I don't care.
They didn't back in the day. They whooped the British.
That's because they all stood in fields and shot at each other.
I
in
didn't
open
say the
fields.
British were
They're
smart.
morons.
I'm saying back in the day, there was a time Napoleon
America
wiped
has
out all
always
the
been
good
behind
French
trees.
army men. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. He wiped them all out by going into Russia, by the way, which we'll probably get to
We're
here in a minute.
awesome, and everybody else sucks.
That is
So maybe we should just not tolerate everybody's bullshit.
so have no allies ever.
Sure.
That's
That's
insane.
how you have God as an ally.
Are you going to ban crime too?
Yeah.
That's not realistic. That's my point. It's just silly to sit there and act indignant because people spy on each other. Now, there is a difference. I will say this. There is a difference between spying, as in trying to collect information in secret, and spying, as in extortion and blackmail and setting up kiddie trafficking rings to entrap politicians. That is a whole other different animal, and everybody in our government that's pulling that crap should be hung. But that's not how traditional spy craft actually worked. You went in there, you pretended to be the other guy, you tried to get information. You didn't always have to resort to honeypotting and all this crap. That's not... You don't have to go that far with it, but it's unreasonable to sit there and say you can't have any kind of spying at all, ever.
You don't think it's a downward spiral that eventually gets to that point?
Very possibly,
Always?
but that's where you get into religion and moral ethoses and why you have the fight in the first place. That's why you have the fight over
Right, that's what I'm
ideals rather
saying.
than national identity. But that's a whole other topic. The point is there is going to be spying no matter what you do. So it's silly to sit there and get indignant over a hypothetical. Like, they're not even talking about a specific situation where Israel was caught spying on us. Ted Cruz was going, I don't know, probably. And then Tucker Carlson got all indignant, like, oh, you don't know? That doesn't bother you? It's like, no, dummy, because why would it? I mean, every country spies on everybody all the time. And if you catch them, yeah, you throw them in jail. But you'd be stupid to think that you catch all of them. Like, that's just not realistic.
I just think it's... I don't know.
Okay, well, I've yelled
What
enough.
would you
I'm
say
sorry,
if
I'm
I
getting
told
riled
you-
up and my blood pressure's getting high. I'm acting like a child. I apologize. So, yes, Trevor?
Oh. Huh?
Were you going to say something?
I could.
Please do.
What would you say if I told you I was spying on both of you right now?
I just assumed you were doing it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Moving on.
I thought you were an ally.
Yeah, weren't you our friend?
Dun, dun, dun.
America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it. And you want to see the clearest.
But I just want to stop on the spying for a second. That it takes place, as you know, and including on the president of the United States and several precedents. And I just want to know if that's okay and why is it okay? Wouldn't an American lawmaker say to a client state, you're not allowed to spy on us? I'm sorry. I know why you want to. I'm not mad at you, but you're not allowed to.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. I don't want to be spied on by you. Is that... It's kind of weird not to say that, but you don't seem able to say that.
Sure, I would say don't spy on us. They're going to anyway. And by the way, the Brits are, the Canadians are.
Yeah, they are. We already have laws. Like, you would go to jail if you were caught. Like, what else do you want them to do?
I don't know. I think we kind of allow them in the door.
Maybe, but there's like that's just as hypothetical as saying they spy on us in the first place. I mean, you're probably right. There's probably a certain degree of like spying tolerated by different countries. Like, I'm sure they let the
Jeffrey
British
Epstein
spy
got
on
a
us
pass,
some. Oh,
right?
absolutely, yeah.
Like that's the same thing. Like, we should have just killed that guy a long fucking time ago.
Well, I agree.
Right. So we should just kill the Israel spies and not deal with that shit.
So kill all spies all the time?
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not the first person to suggest that.
I mean, it's pretty simple. I think it's historical, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the point is, it still happens, and it's always happened, even when they were killing all the spies right off the,
I think Tucker has a great point that you're avoiding.
I'm not avoiding it. I'm saying it's a stupid point. I'm not avoiding anything. I'm saying that's idiotic. You cannot possibly expect countries not to spy on each other.
Okay.
Like, why is that avoiding?
You shouldn't accept it. Like,
I'm not accepting it. I'm just saying, be realistic. If you catch them, kill them. But be realistic. You're not going to catch everybody.
It's like there's a rat in my house. So instead of trying to trap it, I'm going to let it breed and populate my fucking house.
That's not what I'm saying.
The rats aren't going to disappear. So there's just no point in fighting that battle.
What you are saying, sir, is that you could create a hypothetical scenario where you would never get a rat or a mouse or a cockroach in the first place. I am saying that is impractical.
I've never had any rats in my house.
Well, there are millions of people who can't say the same.
It's because they live in filth and they accept it.
That's not true. Sometimes bad things just happen.
It is.
No, it isn't. Sometimes you just have a mouse infestation. Sometimes things just happen. And it's unrealistic to expect that it will never happen. And, you're the one always going on about karma, so you better not say that. Otherwise, Murphy's going to send you a Pied Piper.
Well, then if he does, then I'm going to be like, oh, well, I'm doing something wrong and I need to correct my behavior.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm just saying it's unrealistic to never expect anything like that to happen, and so it's a dumb question.
I don't think it's dumb.
I mean, obviously, I'm not saying you shouldn't punish them if you catch them. I mean, clearly. And Ted Cruz isn't saying that either. I mean, he's like, don't spy on us. But that's not, when has that ever helped? It's like saying don't commit murder. People commit murder.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do about it. There's no universe. There's no world where you could ever avoid committing any and all murder. Like, you can't stop murder. You can disincentivize it, but you can't stop it.
Just like Jeffrey Epstein, how we let him do what he was doing instead of just offing the motherfucker. Like, we're projecting this religious dedication towards Israel,
well, you're
and
assuming...
allowing them to get away with. Now, let me finish my point.
Okay, sorry.
Allowing them to get away with everything instead of saying no. That's Tucker's point, and it's simple.
The problem with your analogy is that, first of all, Epstein worked for us. He might have also worked for Israel, but he worked for us. That's why Cash and Bongino are protecting him. He probably, in all probability, he worked for us and MI6 and Israel. Like, he was doing that trafficking thing for everybody.
Sure, but the bias is irrelevant.
No,
I'm
your
saying
point is
we have a bias towards Israel, just like our government had a bias towards Epstein because he had dirt on everybody.
okay. So you're making the. I guess I'm confused. Are you saying? I thought you were saying we spared Epstein because of Israel. So is that not what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm saying Epstein had a form of like religious protection because of all the dirt that he had on people, and Israel has a form of religious protection because of the dirt that they have on people. So we let them get away with shit.
Okay.
Like spying. That's Tucker's point. I find it very simple, and I don't know why you're not getting it.
That's not what he said, though. He said we shouldn't allow people to spy on us ever. He didn't say that we're letting Israel have a pass because they have dirt on us.
But that's why they're in our government. That's why they're in the positions that they're in. Because of their status as a country, or whatever, the religious thing, whatever.
I think the conversation is moving a little bit beyond the nature of whether or not we should tolerate a degree of espionage. It sounds like we're moving on to whether or not Israel has planted people into our government, and I have no idea if that's happened or not.
If they're spying on us, then that's obviously happened.
Not necessarily. I mean, just because you spy on somebody,
that doesn't. There's a guy in the trash can.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a guy in the trash can. I think there's a guy sitting in the bushes with a telescope. I think he's hiding in the subway.
That's not how they do it.
Or Brandon Biggs is a spy.
Or Brandon Biggs is a spy. Oh my goodness. They got prophets sitting in a sewer going, it's going to happen this way. So.
You can continue the video if you want.
Okay.
I guess I'm ranting now.
Yeah, it's all right. I think we're going in circles. It's fine.
Like, I don't think...
Well, I'm not for that at all. I think it's disgusting. But we don't actually pay their... we're not their most meaningful sponsor. We're not sort of paying for the operations of the British government.
So I got to say, and this is... it's weird.
Okay. Before he gets into the next part, because it's pretty contentious, I thought we were going to talk about... Okay, no. So he broke that up. All right. So here's an interesting question, then. There's a difference between tolerating an ally who spies on you and giving that ally money. I'm giving you a layup, Cody. So, should we give people money if we know they're spying on us?
No, we should kill them.
Okay.
This is obvious.
What if you're getting an economic benefit from that country? What if they are sharing like intelligence information? No. What if it's like they give you some things, but in exchange, you allow a certain degree of duplicity or like spying in return, let's say. You allow some secrets through, they allow some secrets through, they give you some information, you give them some information. It's all kind of like this covert tit for tat. Should we give them money then?
One time I had a dog that had brain damage and he would kind of zone out. And I was afraid he was going to kill my kids, because he was a badass dog, but he was messed up. Did I keep him in my house or did I kill him?
I'd imagine you killed him.
I killed him.
So you're saying that the threat that they could do more damage prevents like any sort of justification for that kind of tit for tat?
I'm not going to allow that animal that's dangerous in my house.
Okay. See, I would disagree. I would say that governments do have to tolerate a certain degree of exchange because we're not dealing with animals, we're dealing with people. And people do things for a wide variety of reasons, and people have a wide variety of motivations. It's not just an abstract fear. So I do think you have to you do have to tolerate a certain degree of exchange, let's say, from any country, just in general. And look, if you give somebody $3 billion,
sometimes.
Yeah,
he provided a sense of safety and comfort, when he wasn't messed up, and relationship, like he was a good dog.
Well, what if? Sorry, go on.
But that doesn't negate the fact that he would go into like wolf mode and his eyes would black out, and like he wasn't the same dog. You can't allow that in your house. That's a you know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think I understand the general tenor of your argument. I would also, I don't know if I disagree. I don't think you have a bad point, though. It's certainly not illogical. Like, I think you're all right as far as, like, thinking it through goes. I just don't know if I agree, because I do think you have to allow a certain amount of trade-off, as it were, even stuff under the table when you have an allyship with anybody. So, for example, like I mentioned the Golden Dome earlier. If you get the Golden Dome, if we get the Golden Dome, that's going to negate any threat from Russia sending a nuclear weapon towards us. It's going to get rid of it if it's successful. Now, we would have Israel's tech to thank for that. If that scenario is true, I mean, I may have my facts wrong, but let's just say hypothetically it's true, that if you could get some sort of like ultimate dome, as it were, to provide missile protection against Russia, but in order to do that, you had to allow Israel to know how you made ballistic missiles. So they know how to make the chips and the guidance systems, let's say, but they don't have the technology for the ballistics. So you let them sneak the technology for the ballistics in exchange for our guys sneaking the guidance system chips. And so you do a trade under the table.
No, you figure it out yourself.
I disagree. I think it's fine to work with other people and make those kinds of trades if you need to.
While they're stabbing you in the back. Yeah.
Well, how do you know they're stabbing you in the back if it's a trade?
Okay, so like Teva Pharmaceuticals, you ever heard of them?
I'm sorry, no. I don't. Say
Teva
that again.
Pharmaceuticals is a pharmaceutical company based out of Israel.
Okay.
And they made and pushed all the propaganda, and they made all the hormone therapies for the trans kid thing.
Ah, okay.
So that's allowing corruption in your country for, I guess, a missile guidance chip. Fuck that.
Again, I would disagree with your analogy because I would imagine
our next generation. How about that?
I would disagree with your analogy because I would imagine the CIA and Mossad are in agreement on that endeavor. Again, intelligence agencies, Praetorian Guards thrive on destabilizing their countries. Mossad is destabilizing their country. CIA is destabilizing ours. So I don't know if that analogy would hold.
But Mossad,
like these
we're
people,
getting the pharmaceuticals from Israel. We shouldn't allow that.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think it's right that that's happening. I'm just saying I don't think it was Israel's idea exclusively. I think that's part of that whole depopulation, destabilization thing that's going on with that entire academic class. That's not just an Israel thing.
That's still enough to sever a relationship for me.
Yeah, but we also have to sever our own CIA. That's why I keep saying, and that's why I'm like, we need to get rid of the CIA and the FBI and the NSA because it's gone too far. I'm talking about like spycraft broadly, but that does not mean what's happening. What I'm talking about hypothetically is actually what's happening. What's actually happening is Mossad and the CIA and the NSA and the FBI have created this weird kind of globalist cabal thing, probably because they're bought off by oligarchs in Europe and probably China. And they're trying to destabilize our populations. They're running all these honeypots. They're doing all this horrible stuff. Like the statecraft that's happening right now is just flat out insane and evil, and the whole dad blame apparatus has to be destroyed. I don't think that's how intelligence is operated throughout its entire history, though. There's always been a degree of spying throughout all of history, but how corrupt the spying gets, how corrupt the espionage gets, that tends to just get worse over time as these institutions bloat. So we need to dismantle our apparatus and destroy what we currently have. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have espionage altogether, and nor does that mean we shouldn't tolerate a certain degree of espionage from other countries. It's just what we have right now is really screwed up, and we need to get rid of it. Now, how you restructure it to correct the problem, I don't know, because the only way I've ever seen it really be throughout history was like Constantine. He just moved the entire capital and didn't even mess with trying to fix the Praetorian Guard. Like he just took the whole leadership and put them in another city so that whole infrastructure could just sit there and rot in Rome. So I don't know how you would apply that principle here, but you would have to do something like that. You'd have to remove the government from the deep state apparatus in Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than banning them directly, because I don't think you could. But anyway.
Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So anyway, this is politics. But let's go on. I'm trying to get to the lobbying thing, but I think we're about to hit another landmine.
Talking about isolationists, the obsession with Israel. Why is Israel...
Oh, I don't think I'm obsessed with Israel.
Okay, but I think a lot of people are, and like the question, Israel spies on us. Well, so does every other country. Why are you mad at Israel?
I guess... No. I'm hardly the one who's... I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel...
From AIPAC.
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship.
Is AIPAC a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Great.
And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times, AIPAC, I wish were much more effective. Like, there are folks online who are in the fever swamp of terrified of AIPAC, and AIPAC...
I'm not terrified of AIPAC at all. You're the one who seems a little uncomfortable when I'm asking.
No, not uncomfortable at all.
I'm just asking what AIPAC does. My understanding, having known a lot of people who work at AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
America has thousands of colleges in...
Okay, we're going to stop there. So they got into the question of lobbying.
He got very uncomfortable with that. He was like, oh, I better watch what I say here because these spies might shoot me.
No, it has nothing to do with spies. It's because Americans do not understand how lobbying works, and lobbying has a bad reputation. That's why he got uncomfortable. There's a couple things that bothered me about that. Number one, I feel like that's just attributing motive. The subtext behind that question is, oh, you only support Israel because AIPAC paid you. That's what I heard. Now, I think he might deny that later in the interview, if I remember correctly. But I think that's what he's really getting at, even though he denied it, because he keeps referring back to it throughout the rest of the interview. But anyway, let me posit let me give you an analogy. It's like, should we not have the NRA? Should the NRA not exist?
I don't think there's a purpose for the NRA.
Okay, let's say that they were actually good at their job. They effectively lobbied politicians to protect the Second Amendment. Should they exist?
No, because the Second Amendment protects the Second Amendment. The people protect the Second Amendment.
No, the politicians can vote it out at the drop of a hat.
And then we can shoot them with our guns that we have.
Yeah, okay, so you could have a civil war to protect your guns. That's one way to do it. Is that better than lobbying?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so, because I think people die.
Yeah, but I mean, it only has to happen every 200 years or so.
No. We've had multiple fights and attempts at gun confiscations within the last century.
Because we have lobbyists.
No. The lobbyists, the NRA in this case, have been fighting against it back when they were good at their job, back when Charlton Heston ran it.
Okay.
My point is
automatics. We've had several bans on, like, what do you mean?
The NRA sucks now, from what I understand, but there was a time it was effective. The point of my analogy is this: when a politician agrees with you, agrees with a policy, let's say the Second Amendment, then there are lobbying groups that will give you money for your campaign, so you stay in office and you don't get replaced by somebody who doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. For example, Beto O'Rourke. Right? Mm-hmm. So these groups, AIPAC, the NRA, they might be buying politicians off, but they also keep the politicians that already believe in their policies in. So just because somebody is taking money from a group like AIPAC, that does not mean they are automatically bought off by a government. Fact is, it's attributing motive, and you can't possibly know somebody's motives. Now, that's why lobbying is bad, or at least perceived as such, because it's very arguable that somebody can get bought off. Like, they can just go, tell me my opinion, give me money, and I'll change my opinion to whatever. And you don't want that. But we originally had a defense against that, and that was called the Senate actually being picked by the representatives of the state, so that not all the lobbying was happening on the national level.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get rid of lobbying, you don't outlaw lobbying, because lobbying has existed in every government throughout the history of the world. You can't. It's just like spying. You can't get rid of it. The only question is whether it's going to happen over the table or under the table. What you can do is what our founders did, which is divide the interests. So this is why having like senators chose by our state representatives was so important, because if somebody is expressly loyal to the state and doesn't have to worry about a like national campaign or something like that, and they're being chose by the representatives of a particular area, then it's more likely that, say you're in agriculture and you want to lobby your state senator from Missouri, they're going to be more inclined to listen to that state senator or that state representative from Missouri than they would be like, what is that, Monsanto. They might prioritize being lobbied by an agricultural company out of Missouri rather than Monsanto. Does that make sense? If a senator's being selected by state representatives exclusively, he's going to be more loyal to that state. Therefore, he's going to pay more attention to lobbyists from that state, and you get better state representation rather than just broad national representation.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right, what's your point?
My point is lobbying isn't inherently bad, and this question is stupid because it's just attacking Cruz's motives when he can't know Cruz's motives.
I guess you're talking above my head. I don't know.
Well, maybe I'm just being incoherent. So, I think...
Have you ever seen remember those Beto O'Rourke when he was campaigning? Have you ever seen those videos?
I remember something about a skateboard, like he tried to be all hip and crap, but that's all I really remember.
What I remember is a whole bunch of people yelling at him and telling him he was a faggot. Like, the crowds hated him.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't.
Because of his policies.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we even worried about these people?
Beto O'Rourke almost won the first time.
The people, like if you made guns illegal tomorrow, I don't think there would be any issue. Like, how are they going to enforce that? They're going to send the cops out so they can all get shot? I mean, what?
I agree. I don't think it would fly here. I think they know it too.
Real. It's all fear-mongering shit. Like, you're...
Yeah, but you don't want to resort to shooting.
No, you don't. But that's why it won't come to that.
That's why organizations like the NRA, who actually rally support for politicians that won't let that crap get through in the first place, is helpful.
Okay, dude. I mean, I don't think that's real. But
anyway, my point is, lobbying it can be good, it can be bad. It's one of those amoral types of things. But this question was just designed to imply that Ted Cruz was bought off. It was meant to go after his motives. That's why I didn't like it.
Okay.
That's my only point.
But do you think Ted Cruz is bought off? I mean,
no, because of where we're going next. He talks about his religious upbringing, which is where we're heading.
But he just admitted that he'd taken money from Israelites.
See, you're not... I just spent like 10 minutes trying to explain why that doesn't matter. That's my point. You didn't rebut it. You said, I don't get it. Well, it's very simple. If Ted Cruz believed that we should defend Israel before he took money from AIPAC, then it would make sense that AIPAC would support him.
Okay.
So just because he takes money from AIPAC, that does not automatically mean he's bought off. That's not how lobbying works. It works like that sometimes, but these lobbyists also go after politicians that already agree with them. So, Tucker Carlson's question's a non-starter. Like, it doesn't matter. He's just creating implication and sidelong glances and masking everything with sarcastic laughter. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, let me see if I can find his personal reasons. Because he got a lot of crap for this.
I don't believe the personal reasons. That's why I guess.
I know, but do you not think it's possible that you don't believe those personal reasons because you don't think we should be going to Iran in the first place? Do you not think that your opinion...
Oh, no, I've been very anti-Israel for a long time.
Yeah, do you not think that your opinion about Israel is coloring your opinion about Cruz?
Probably.
Yeah, that's why this interview annoys me, because this wasn't... Let me demonstrate my point. If you were to watch this whole interview, I would argue that the only thing you would learn about Iran is its population, 92 million. That's the only thing you would learn from it. You wouldn't learn another blessed thing about Iran. Why? Because this interview is not about Iran at all. It's about Ted Cruz as a person. Tucker Carlson went into that man's office and attacked his character for 2 hours.
I see that.
And I have a real problem with that, because when I was sitting here vacillating about what we should do, I really wanted to hear these two talk, and I really wanted to hear a genuine conversation about Iran so I could try to figure out what I believe. Instead, I got a bunch of insults about Ted Cruz and learned nothing about Iran, which really ticked me off.
Tucker's motivation is for blackballing this Ted Cruz.
He wants to show those dirty neocons what for, because people can't just be wrong. They have to be bad. That's what it is. Ted Cruz is a warmonger. It's an ad hominem. People, when they don't understand things super well, they'll just attack people's character. And they try to rely on the attack on the character. No, I think Tucker Carlson went in there meaning to do an assassination attempt on Cruz as far as like his character goes. Why? Because that makes the whole anti going into Iran thing stronger. Like the no war prompt thing stronger. It's like, we can't trust these senators because they're just warmongers.
That's true. That's how they make money.
Yeah, well, not everybody agrees with that. Some people are genuinely like, God may want us to help Israel. Like, there are people that are acting. You think it's stupid, but some people believe it. So you have to have a blasted argument. You can't just sit there and go, those people are stupid and evil. And that's why we shouldn't listen to them, because they're stupid and evil. It's like when I sit there and I complain about the CIA for like 3 hours on end, it's not just because I think everybody in the CIA is stupid and evil. I don't believe everybody in the intelligence apparatus is just stupid and evil. Edward Snowden was not stupid and evil. You can't freaking generalize. People have reasons for believing what they believe. And it does no good to look at an opponent and go, you're stupid and evil, just because you don't want to take the argument seriously. You don't want to consider the possibility that maybe, just maybe, God might want us to. I'm not saying he does, but there are some people that are so turned off by that, they won't even consider it. And I'm like, maybe you should entertain them. Just for like 10 minutes.
Silly
just
on his face. I don't know.
I know, but if it's so silly, would it really kill you to listen to their position? Do you have to call them like evil?
I mean, no.
Yeah, so just like, look, Cody, I love you, but I thought the flat earth thing was dumb. There was like a week I was open-minded to it. And then by week 2, I'm like, I got to argue with this. This is so stupid. But I never thought you were evil. I never thought you were stupid. I never thought you were a bad person. I let the information you presented persuade me. Unfortunately, the information sucked, but I tried to, keep an open mind. And that's just the nature of arguing. You don't go after people's temperaments. You don't go after people's motives. You don't do this character assassination stuff. That's why this was gotcha journalism. And
I agree with you that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's my main point, is that this was just gotcha journalism. And I was personally mad because at the beginning of the week, or right before this came out, actually, no, when this came out, I didn't exactly know what I thought. And I wanted to learn something, and I didn't, because this was just an assault on Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
And it ticked me off, because I don't like not knowing things. I say I don't know all the time, but it annoys me. I don't like vacillating. And I vacillate a lot, which is probably why I'm like so like neurotic. So anyway. So let me see if I can find this moment where he talks about his religious convictions really quick.
Yeah, I guess this part that you're looking for is what I want to hear.
Yeah. He also
his real reasons.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
He doesn't have a title for it. That's really annoying. Hang on a minute. Let me try something else.
Okay. What are his... This might be a bad way to frame it. What are his reasons for being open to taking money from these people?
So this is a thing. This is a short from Tucker Carlson. I don't know if this is going to have the quote or not, but we'll try it.
Growing up in Sunday school.
All right. Yeah, here we go.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what... Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
And so is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes. Okay.
I love that. That's funny.
Well, I think the thing that annoyed me about it was Tucker acting like he didn't know what Ted Cruz was talking about. I grew up hearing that interpretation of that passage my whole life.
Right. It's propaganda.
Like, well, you could... Yes, but Tucker Carlson was kind of, in my opinion, implying that Ted Cruz was adding that ad hoc. Like it was just some ad hoc thing to throw the Bible at people saying, you should support Israel because of the Bible. I'm like, no, he wasn't. What did he say at the beginning of the comment? When I was in Sunday school, I was taught. Well, so was I. Everybody was taught that. So why is he acting like he has no idea what Ted Cruz is even talking about?
Because he's not defining what he's talking about.
He's saying what he personally believed.
There was no Israel as we know of it in Genesis. Like that's not a real thing. So Israel must be a different description.
First of all, you're wanting to get into the theological aspect of it, which I will answer, and I think I answered earlier on. This is about the Abrahamic covenant. Israel, in the context of the Abrahamic covenant, means the nation of, not necessarily the government, but the people. So the race, if you prefer, of Israel. Those who bless the race of Israel will be blessed. Those who curse the race of Israel will be cursed. That's the idea of it within the context of the Abrahamic covenant, in my opinion. But that's not the point. The point of again, it goes back to attributing motive to Ted Cruz, like he's just weaponizing the Bible. That's not what he was doing. I was taught that. Trevor was taught that. You could go to TBN. I'm pretty sure you were taught that.
I was taught that.
Yeah, everybody I have ever met was taught that.
So we should just believe it.
No, I'm just saying... It's not a new idea. And he was acting,
Tucker's
in my opinion, like it
out.
was some weird thing he'd never heard of.
No, he's pointing out that Ted Cruz is saying something that's not... He doesn't actually have a description for Israel. He's just... he's referring back to his programming from childhood.
I disagree. If you look at...
He
look at... What are you taught? When he goes, what are you talking about? This is important, blah, 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 blah. He's implying...
define Israel.
I felt like he was implying that Ted Cruz didn't know what he was saying. And that annoyed me.
No.
Now, as to the argument itself, I think we could argue about whether or not supporting Israel means supporting the government. And I think it's a fair criticism. I don't know if that interpretation is right now that I'm older. But this is one of my
Right,
vacillation
that's what
points.
Tucker's just pointing out a perspective. He's like, hey, dude, like your description of Israel is from your childhood. It's programming.
Okay. Well,
right?
maybe I'm
And
being
so
too hard
your
on him.
description of Israel is the borders that were established in 1950. That's dumb. You can't say that. That wasn't in Genesis. That's all he's saying.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. As far from a theological standpoint, you are right about the borders. But the people of Israel are still in that country. And there are still
Allegedly.
people. For all we know,
There's
the
no
people
pictures
of
Jews in Genesis.
For all we know, the people of Israel are in that country. We have no information that I'm aware of indicating they would be anybody else or be anywhere else. So for all we know, and here's more to the point, for all the Arabs know, the Jewish people, the majority, a lot of them, are in Israel. And we, being judged by the information that we know, have an obligation to defend the people. Now,
All people.
We will be blessed if we bless Israel, the people, meaning the people. So again, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to support Netanyahu blindly or the government of Israel blindly or Mossad or whatever. You don't have to agree with everything that Israel does. I don't think anybody's saying that. But I will say this, maybe I am wrong, and maybe my blood pressure was up so high at this point in the interview that I thought Tucker Carlson was inferring, like attacking Ted Cruz's motives again. I could be wrong. But at the time, I felt like he was going after his motives, and I thought that it was disingenuous because I know everybody here was taught that. Again, might not be correct, but everybody was taught that. And so to pretend like it's a new idea that Ted Cruz is weaponizing the Bible. Like Alex Jones, not too long ago, had this headline like, Ted Cruz says we should worship the state of Israel. That's not what he was saying. So it's just, I felt like they were coloring this in a disingenuous way. So like look at this headline here.
Like,
look at this headline
hey, man,
here.
Define what you're saying, because I don't think you know what you're saying. So define it.
Maybe, but look at his headline. Ted Cruz uses the Bible to justify Israel support. That's the kind of headline that creates this impression that he's just weaponizing it. That's inferring motive.
The headline is a little salacious.
Yeah, it's salacious. That's inferring motive. That's why I'm like annoyed. I'm like, that's not what he was doing. We were all taught that.
Yeah.
And so I was ticked off about it. I don't like the character assassinations. Look, the Iranian question and whether or not we should support Israel and what does it mean to support Israel, that's all hard stuff. Like that's not easy. But this whole freaking going after people's motives and stuff is not freaking helpful.
I don't know. I think it is, because like every time my character's been assassinated, like as long as I don't double down, I grow from it.
What if you're falsely accused?
Then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, but everybody starts believing that false accusation about you. And they start getting more focused on the false accusation about you than the argument at hand.
Okay.
Like if you're trying to make your case and everybody's going, "Well, who cares what you say? You're paid off by AIPAC." Well, it just makes it harder for people to hear what you're saying. They use the motive stuff, which I think is a logical fallacy, to basically like dodge the debate itself. I just don't think you should infer motive during a debate. I don't think it's productive.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So it annoyed me. That's where I'm at. That's why my blood pressure was up, and that's why I yelled like a loon at poor Trevor yesterday. So anyway, that's all I had on this.
Trevor? Trevor doesn't even say anything.
Yeah, Trevor,
I
say
like
stuff.
it.
Okay, give
What
us
do you
your
want me to say?
opinion. Your opinion. What do you think?
My opinion?
Yeah.
I don't like either one of them.
What do you think then?
I don't think that's the problem.
Yes, you are. You are an intelligent man, and you're smarter than you let on.
If I was to watch that video, which I would have shut it off pretty early because they just sounded like they were arguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually don't like to listen to two people argue for 2 hours, but are you asking for my opinion on Israel and Iran?
Yes, your thoughts on everything. We want to hear your voice.
General synopsis.
General synopsis.
Right.
Very good.
General synopsis. I think governments are bad. I honestly don't think Israel is just a region. Like, just that, like Cody said, the 1950s. I think
1948 to be exactly.
1948, whatever. I don't think it's just that region. I think it's a kind of a global thing. Israel is its people, and they're basically everywhere. And so, to go back
you don't
to
think they're the small hat people?
Do what?
You don't think they're the small hat people?
No, I don't think they're just the small hat people. I think some of them are, and some of them are not.
Okay.
Just like, anyone who believes Jesus died on the cross will get to heaven. But there are some who don't believe that, but do all the good, and they're not going to heaven. Does that make sense?
Everybody's got their own path, I guess.
Not everyone of Israel is what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there could be Israelites in Iran, and they're bombing themselves.
See? Look at there, Gary.
Well, boys and girls, we're going to let our sage Trevor have the last word. So.
Well, no, you don't want to do that because then Brandon Biggs won't be Brandon Biggs.
No, you're fine, man. You're fine. That was just a mistake. Don't beat yourself up over that. That was fine. Guys, I think you have heard enough of us arguing and you can make up your own mind. I think we've made our cases fairly well. I wish I'd done better, but, I'm an idiot. So, that's okay. If you are still watching us on the live stream, we're going to go on. We got one more topic. If you're watching this after the fact, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.
One more to go. I have no idea how I'm going to divide this. It's like,
what are we
run
doing?
it all as one thing.
I would have done timestamps or something.
Yeah, and that went over a lot.
Busy today.
Yeah. So, okay, so the last one of the evening is Andrew Tate and Bonnet Bleu.
Oh, that's right.
Bonnet Bleu. So, who wants to sign us in?
I will.
All right.
Welcome to Faith, Fiction, and Folklore, or the Tri-F podcast, where we try not to F the podcast up. Speaking of Fs, we got a show tonight. If you are under the age of 18, you probably don't want to listen to this.
We got a show.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Bonnie Blue. She had an interview with Andrew Tate.
Who's Bonnie Blue?
She slept with 1,000 dudes, which is
Oh,
really
that chick?
grody. Yeah. Not a
So
fan.
is she giving the interview or is he giving the interview?
Some British guys. It's like I think it was supposed to be framed as a debate, but they honestly ended up agreeing on a lot of stuff. Yeah.
That's debatable.
But she says some pretty gross stuff and does some gross stuff. Yikes.
How grody.
Gary, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I'm dreading this.
Yeah, it's going to be rough.
I was raised on a factory farm. I picked up green, rotting, dead chickens for somewhere around 15 years. And I still got sick to my stomach at different points.
So this is an alpha versus an alpha?
I wouldn't call her an alpha.
This is how far we've fallen as a society. So I've got a couple places that I think I'm going to stop. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. It's really crass. So seriously, if you've got kids that are actually watching this, you really need to not. This is pretty vulgar.
I should probably go then, huh?
And as they say, when you stare into the void, or this was Nietzsche, when you stare into the void, sometimes the void stares back at you. So,
Hey, that's actually pretty fun.
Speaking of voids, you know what I mean?
I ain't gonna G-rated. I'm gonna try to stay G-rated in my comments because somebody's got to.
Are you saying we should avoid this?
No, I'm saying there's a great void in Bonnie Blue.
Oh.
He was getting into the blue humor because this is
So
gonna go
avoid
downhill
her.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
But we're still gonna try to keep this around the subject of faith and how we need to react to this as Christians, believers in God, and Andrew Tate's version of Islam. I don't
With his bling.
With his very Muslim bling of a chess piece. I'm not sure how that ties in, but anyway.
I think he's pretty based. You still listen to him, Gary?
I don't listen to him. I have his Real World subscription because there's like business lessons and stuff on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't dislike Andrew Tate, like, at all. I think the government's given him, they're being very unfair, being awful. And I'm a little annoyed at people being, like, I understand people don't agree with him, but look, first they came for the obnoxious, and then they'll eventually come for you. I mean, the government goes after everybody if you let them, so it does no good to try to just throw this guy under the bus just because you don't like what he has to say.
Yeah.
Even if he's louder than you. I mean, it doesn't matter how loud or quiet you are. They go after everybody in the end. You will comply or you will be thrown into gulag. That's how authoritarianism works. And the British are pretty well communist at this point. We're well on our way. And you have to stand up for people even if you don't like what they have to say. Because that's the only way to prevent totalitarianism, period. So anyway, so we'll start with the first few minutes of this. And then I will try to find the spots that I found. Yeah, earlier. I think that's right. Anyway, okay, so we'll start at the beginning here.
Perfect end result of feminism. That's destructive.
By the time you finish calling me a whore, I'm going to leave this chair with a wet patch.
Rob, the world's bring the astral.
Do you think you're a good role model for women?
I'm a clear example of what women have fought for years.
So sleeping with 1,057 men in a day.
It's good work ethic.
We live in clown world, and I just enjoy the circus.
Sex workers help reduce rape rates by over 30%.
Do you think Andrew Tate is guilty of the charges against him?
You like there's no way out for you.
You're so trapped in the matrix.
You're judging me, Andrew.
Feminism is a bullet that a man has shot.
Do you send your son to Bonnie?
Andrew, I do father and son as well. Brother and brother?
It's all disgusting to me.
I heard they call you Cobra Tate. Are you packing a python?
Bonnie.
I would have Hitler to survive.
The entire Western world is women looking for money.
Imagine how powerful our baby would be.
Survivor DNA.
So who's tighter, your wife or me?
Next question, huh?
Let me answer then.
What's happening with Lily? You got Hobie.
Well, I'll tell you the full story.
Cool. Would I Bonnie for all the power in the
This
world?
intro's longer than I remember.
Yeah.
And that's the video, folks.
Andrew,
Good luck.
what do you think of Bonnie Blue sleeping with 1,057 men?
How honest should I be out of 10?
I want you to be honest.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah, go on.
I don't understand why men sit here and try and lecture you about it. I don't understand why men sit here and say you shouldn't do it. It's
Yeah.
your body, your choice, right? This is the world we now live in. This is
It's called empathy and not wanting to watch a slow car wreck, but anyway.
the end result of feminism. You are the perfect end result of feminism. In the world I believe in.
This is
in a
uncensored.
conservative,
I apologize,
traditionally
guys. This is uncensored.
masculine-
Let me get the window corrected here. I don't know why that one's not working, but anyway. Hang on a minute. So what are the thoughts so far while I'm doing this, guys? You got to fill the dead air while I'm working.
Sorry, bud.
It's all right.
I think he's absolutely right. That this is the end result of feminism. This is what they've wanted, and it has to be played out for them to see the end result. This stuff has to happen.
Yeah.
Because this is what they've been championing for. Championing.
I think
Am I saying that
you're
right?
yeah, you're right. You're right. I'll add my commentary after I get through about 5 minutes of this because I wanted to display what he did here. Thank you for talking while I got that fixed, though.
Sure.
Ruled world, a man would be in charge of his daughters until they're handed over to their husbands or boyfriends, and there would be a degree of masculine guidance. But feminism didn't want that. You know, women complained that men don't want to get married. We did actually want to get married when we got obedient virgins, but they disappeared, and they complained about the patriarchy, and they were tired of us giving them a house to live in and kids to raise, and they wanted to make their own choices. So she's making her own choice. That's a fantastic thing. I actually have a lot of respect for you because you own it and you're honest about it.
What if it was your daughter?
Well, that won't happen.
But she's her own person.
I never said my daughter's her own person. I said women want to be their own people. But my point is, there's so many women who go to Magaluf for a weekend and do something very similar, and then they come back to England and get with some fucking guy and start asking for presents from him and talking about how they deserve a traditional relationship and they want to get married and they want a Christmas present and all this bullshit. Most women do exactly what Bonnie does. I don't see you any different than most women. And I'm not saying that in a degrading way.
Most women don't sleep with 1,057 men in a day.
1,000? Does it fucking matter?
I think it does.
I don't really think it does.
So
it's all disgusting to me. If I met a woman and she said, I just sucked a dick yesterday, I'd say, well, I find you repulsive. I don't want to sleep with you. Goodbye.
What, so you're only going after virgins?
Well, it's not about only going after virgins, but I think if you're a straight man, the idea of having a bunch of men fuck a woman that you're with is pretty repulsive.
But everyone has a past.
But see, this is the kind of shit white people say. I don't know what's wrong with you people. Everyone has a past. That's not acceptable. In fact, let's analyze that. Everyone has a past. You're right. Everyone does have a past. It's true. But isn't the primary objective of a man to find a woman with as little past as possible? Would you argue that's one of the precursors to finding a wife? Considering that wives were supposed to be virgins. This was the deal. The reason I'm proud of Bonnie, and I am genuinely proud of you, I like Bonnie. I like what she's doing. Because the deal was...
Are you not, like, contradicting yourself here?
In what way?
Well, you're proud of her sleeping with 1,057 guys, but women should be virgins.
No, I'm saying that the social contract, the construct of society that made family function, was women were obedient virgins, and they found a man who provided for them, and they listened to that man. Women have then said, we don't like the patriarchy. We're tired of being provided for. We're tired of being taken care of. We don't want to listen to anybody. We want to make our own decisions. That was women and feminism that ended the traditional family unit. And now women can make their own decisions. So I'm glad that Bonnie's making her own decision.
Yeah,
I'm not here to tell you not to do
say
it.
I take women back 100 years. I'm like, no, I'm the clear example of how to be empowered. I use my body. I do what I want, when I want. And this is the thing you've been banging on about for years. And when I get hate, like when I click on the comments of these women that are like, oh, you're taking us back 100 years, then in their bio it says stay-at-home mom of two. I'm thinking, what the fuck was you rooting for?
That's
because
right.
you have just stayed
That's
at
right,
home.
Bonnie. See, this is the future.
Yeah.
This is the future. This is fantastic. It's exactly what Western society's headed to. So why are we going to sit here and pretend this is not? Why are we going to sit here and pretend that most women who go on girls' holidays aren't doing something similar to what Bonnie does, just because it's not on camera? Why are we going to sit here and pretend that these men who walk around with their wives in the pub in England, and they're like, oh, my wife, yeah, everyone has a past. Oh, no, she's done the same shit. What's the difference? Who gives a fuck? Right?
So, Cody, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think, politically, it's the shifting of the Overton window. Like we have to come to this point so that we can go back to the way it was at some point.
Yeah.
You know.
See, I had a suspicion at the beginning of this. Now I'm not so sure, but I had a suspicion at the beginning of the interview that he was actually mocking her and she didn't realize it. But I think he's just being sardonic, or he's being like sardonic, that might be the word, about the way that life is now. It's like, this is what you people wanted.
Yep.
This is where it was going to lead. You know, it's a little defeatist 100%. And nihilistic, though. I don't think he's advocating for it, but I think
to
he
make
is
it go
just
away, you have to accept it, right?
I don't know. That's a good question. Let me think about that. To make it go away, you have to accept it. I think people have to accept that's where we are.
Like,
I don't think they have to accept it indefinitely. What you resist persists.
Yeah.
So we have to embrace debauchery so the next generation sees our lives implode and decides not to do it.
Not embrace it. Let it play out.
How is that not embracing it?
Because if you're non-responsive, I guess, you're just. I mean, it's like if your kid's throwing a tantrum, you could try to stop them, but that's not going to help, right? You have to let them throw their fit so that they can see that they're being ridiculous.
Yeah. So you would liken.
So like in this example of Bonnie Blue, like this is feminism at its peak. Like this is women throwing a fit and saying, I want, freedom or whatever whatever point she's trying to make. And this is the end result. And you got to let her throw a fit,
Yeah, but you're operating under the position that what she did was bad. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean when I say I think Andrew Tate's mocking her, because he's saying, this is horrible, but this is what you get. And she's sitting there going, yeah, I'm an empowered woman. Yeah, look how empowered I am.
She doesn't see it yet.
Yeah, she doesn't realize that he's saying, this is wrong, this is horrible, but this is what you...
indifferent. That's the word I was looking
for.
for.
He's like resigned to the way society is.
Which is the position you should take, I believe.
I don't know. I believe in raging against the dying of the light, I suppose.
No.
You fight even when the fight is futile.
Man,
I disagree.
Facts.
I disagree. I think that it's not just about outcomes. It's about trying to do the right thing and persisting in doing the right thing even when the fight is futile, because there is an after. You're going to be judged by the Almighty in that after. And so you should try to do the right thing and fight the momentum of the culture and try to warn the culture, because you do have an obligation to your fellow man as much as possible. And yeah, the fight might be futile, but that's not really the point. We don't do the right thing because we want the right outcome.
I think I fundamentally disagree with you, Gary.
Why?
Because you can't change anybody's mind, dude. They have to change their own mind. God has to change their mind. You can't do it.
Yes, but you're still assuming that the goal is the outcome.
And you're taking the moral high ground by saying this is right and this is wrong.
Well, is there not right and wrong? Does it not exist?
I don't believe that we're the arbiters of right and wrong. I believe God is the truth. Like we
Do you believe right and wrong is knowable?
No.
I think it is. In some things. There are some ambiguous situations, but I do think in some things, particularly this situation, right and wrong is knowable.
Yeah, but it's not. We're not good enough to point that out to someone else.
So we have to be
you
perfect.
You can know it in your heart, sure, but you can't tell somebody what's right and what's wrong, because they're not going to listen to you. Why would they?
It's not about them listening. It's about planting seeds for the right time.
That's why people listen to Jesus.
It's not about persuading people. It's about planting seeds for the right time, because you know what's going to happen to that person. You know that they're going to wake up like in her case, she's going to wake up. Yeah, you do. You know she's going to wake up at 47. She's going to want different things because she's in a different season of life, because we live in different seasons. And she's going to regret what she's done in the past, and she's going to shift her priorities, and it's going to be harder for her to get the life that she wants. In fact, Andrew Tate says later in this, whatever you do, don't turn to religion. Don't, just use the cross and say, I'm better now. Somebody accept me. Don't weaponize religion or whatever, which I understand to an extent, but I'm also like, well, if she's sincere in her conversion, she should be allowed to, actually accept repentance and not just say, well, this was the life I chose, I just got to live with it. I don't believe that. So I think that we do make the case, even though nobody's going to agree with us, because it's not about getting them to agree with us. It's about planting seeds for the right time, because these guys act like they're saying something new, but it's a rerun. We've heard this crap a million times.
Planting seeds here?
I think you're right. He is.
By being indifferent, he's planting the most.
He's not being indifferent, though. He's being sardonic. There's a difference. This is like a modest proposal. I don't know if you ever read that essay, but this is like a modest proposal by Jonathan Swift. And for those who don't know, a modest proposal was this essay. I don't remember the economic circumstances around it, but the bottom line was they had some issue with populations in Britain. And so Jonathan Swift, to basically point out the indifference people were having during the conversation, was like, well, you know what? We should just eat babies. It would be so much more economically feasible if we just ate babies. Can you imagine how easy it would be to feed everybody if we ate babies? And he was being sarcastic. He was demonstrating absurdity by being absurd. And I think that's kind of what he's doing. He's just basically going, this is what you asked for. This is what you wanted. And in that respect, yeah, you're right. He is planting seeds. So I'm not condemning Andrew Tate here. I guess I'm mainly going after this sense of futility that's kind of buried within his statement, although he is right to make the statement, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that this kind of tactic, although there's a part of me that does like it, I do think it risks going into nihilism. Eat, drink, and be merry, for tomorrow we all die type of thing. And I don't think that's necessarily
No, because
healthy.
he's not partaking in it. He still thinks it's...
Right, yeah, you're right. I don't think
Personally,
he's
he thinks
partaking
it's disgusting, right? So it's like,
yeah,
he's not. He's like, I'm not going to be part of this, but have fun.
Yeah, but the line between what he's doing and where it could go is kind of, I think it needs to be pointed out. It doesn't necessarily mean he's in danger of it or anything, but yeah, I am worried about this kind of sense of nihilism, because we should fight against this. We shouldn't say it's okay, and that's kind of the point he's making. It's like, this is what you asked for, so if you don't change it, this is what you're going to continue to get. That's kind of his point. And so I think in his way, he is appealing for a fight. Like, we don't need to accept this. We don't need to let this be normal. I don't think she understands that's what's going on, but he's just kind of embracing the absurdity of the moment, I suppose. So to make the point, but, gosh, there was something else I was going to say, but I've lost my train of thought, so I don't suppose it matters.
Sorry, buddy.
Trevor, you got any thoughts?
Negative.
Well, make one up.
That he who is without sin casts the first stone.
Oh! Good man. You remembered where I was going to go with it. Okay. You got me back on course, good sir. Thank you.
Well done.
Yes, well done. So, I was going to ask Cody, when it comes to not casting stones and all the rest of it, should we be perfect before we start criticizing other people's behavior? Like, where's the line between having a flaw that we know is a flaw, but still trying to point out other people's flaws, not trying to elevate ourselves, but like saying, hey, this thing, broadly speaking, is wrong? Should we make moral commentaries at all, since we're all fallen?
I think you should only make moral commentaries when it's about yourself and your own growth, because that's the only way people are going to accept it. Is like, you have to lead by example if you want to lead. So, I mean, you could talk about, your own behavior and how it's wrong and how you can grow from it and stuff, but you can't. I just don't think it works when you point out other people's behavior, because they're automatically going to think of how you're wrong. Like,
right.
They're automatically going to point out your flaws.
Right.
What if you never want to lead?
Beta.
Beta.
Well, Trevor, what do you think about that? What Cody just said.
About Beta?
No, about his whole idea about you need to get yourself together in the name of leadership. Is that right, Cody? Is that kind of what you were getting at?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to lead by example. I mean, you can't tell people what to do if you act like shit.
Fair enough.
Amen.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
I agree with it too, but I would add that, and this is something I noticed in the interview. I know. But this is something Andrew Tate said in the interview, and I would just want to add that, we all have flaws, and we all have issues that we deal with. Everybody's a hypocrite. Everybody. But we still should say, maybe not pointing out people's individual flaws, but we should still say that is wrong. Because one of the problems in our society in particular is that we believe that basically, for example, all your sexual impulses are you. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, you have to indulge your impulses because that's just who you are. And so there's this kind of culture in our society that goes from we should be patient with one another because we all have issues to we just need to embrace our fallen nature. And people, yeah, well, that's where we're at. People say we're all bad, so why bother criticizing over anything at all? To which I would say, I'm like, look, you still have to acknowledge things are evil. Like, there's an old man in you that needs to die. Part of the story of Christianity is acknowledging that in order to be a good person, there are dead limbs that have to be cut off, eyes that need to be gouged out, hands that need to be severed. You are in a pursuit of bettering yourself, of being like Christ, and so you are at war with yourself. So you should still try to be better. You should still try to improve. You should be constantly in the pursuit of killing the old man. Because you can't just say that this old man is who I am and it's all, because the line between who I am and this is all I'll ever be is razor thin. You have to constantly be at war with yourself to kill those parts of you that are wrong. But that requires accepting and identifying the things of you that are wrong.
What if you don't identify those things as you?
Well, they could be like demonic
isn't there-
impulses, if you want to say. If you're entertaining
like,
them,
a
that's part of
difference
your old
between
man,
you?
arguably speaking. But yeah, I mean, I would argue that in a sense, those bad impulses aren't you. Like the way I was understood, the way I was taught, is that a person is basically three things. You have the flesh, which is kind of where the devil talks. You have the spirit, which is like how the Holy Spirit, the conscience, guides you. And then you have this governor that's choosing between the two. The real you, so to speak, is the governor making the choices between those two competing voices. So, for example, C.S. Lewis gives this example.
Okay.
Yeah, he gives.
I've always thought of it as just a dichotomy, like your flesh and your spirit.
It's actually tri. Like there's three parts, which is why I don't. That's all right. Which is why I don't like Freud, because I think Freud just took a lot of Christian concepts and relabeled them into psychobabble. But anyway. So C.S. Lewis gives this analogy. He says, okay, there's a dog drowning in a creek. There's a part of you that knows that it's right to save the dog, and you should save the dog. There's another part of you that doesn't want to save the dog because you're going to get your clothes wet, and it's going to be a headache. And then there's this third part of you that has to choose between those two voices. And every decision in life is like that. And so you can't be a human without having these three essential parts of you. So...
Okay. I guess I look at life in the sense of there's not... Yeah, I don't see the governor. I see, like, flow state and, I mean, for lack of a better term, like there's like your initial impulse would be to save the dog, right? And then there's that thought that comes in, oh, but your clothes are going to get wet. Like that's the demon. So I see the initial impulse as, I think impulse is a bad word, but the initial like reaction to a situation that's happening in your life, that's the state that you need to be in. You shouldn't worry about anything.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. So you're saying that the good impulse is us and the bad impulse is something else?
The good impulse would be like God's will.
Okay.
Like God's plan. Like why would you be there where that dog is at the same time that it's drowning? Like, because you're meant to save it.
Okay. How does the person make the choice if the because it sounds like you're saying what I'm saying, but you're not wanting to acknowledge the governor. Like what I'm talking about is the classic devil and angel archetype on your shoulder. You remember those cartoons where you had like the cartoon Garfield angel, the devil Garfield, and then like the actual Garfield? Like that's how Christianity views the man. And so the real you is constantly choosing between the devil and the angel. If like the original us was the angel, then obviously the angel would always win the battle because that's the real person. If it was the devil, then obviously you would always choose the evil. There has to be a third part of you because sometimes people choose evil and sometimes people choose good. We're not 100% one or the other.
I think choosing the evil is you identifying with the flesh or being of the earth.
But isn't there a governor that has to do the identifying?
I don't think so. I think that's a misnomer.
How
which
so?
Maybe why I so fundamentally disagree with the Trinity.
Well, how so? Explain it. Why doesn't that work?
Because the flow state is God's will. Like your purpose is presented to you automatically, and your doubts are the demons that stop you.
But doesn't there have to be a core part of you that's like moving in and out of that flow state?
No, I think the demons just drag you back out of the flow state.
So do we not actually make our own choices? Like it's just demons compelling us to do bad things?
Mm-hmm.
So when this girl slept with 1,000 men, it wasn't actually her doing it. It was the demons making her do it?
Yeah.
So are people just like inherently good or bad?
She's identified with the demons.
But
she's like, this is me. I am a sex worker. I am a whore. I am a blah, 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 blah.
I guess I'm confused because there's an I there. I am this. I am that. I am choosing to identify as such. That in particular requires, in my opinion, that statement by itself requires three entities. I, the thing I'm identifying with, and versus the thing I could be.
I don't see the three.
Okay, so I am a whore.
Okay.
I could
She's
be
identifying as that.
I could be a virgin. There is a dichotomy between the two. I am choosing one over the other. Is that not three parts?
No.
Why not?
Because if she didn't choose to identify with that, she would be in the flow state, like the natural path, God's will.
Yeah, I mean, we agree that there's two options.
Her life identifying with demons.
Yeah, but we're talking about two potential options, and then there has to be this I that's choosing between those two options.
I don't think so.
Well, like by your logic, she wouldn't have any accountability because she has no autonomy.
I think what we're hitting on is like Jesus said, not my will but the Father's. Like he wasn't identifying with anything except the Father's will. Like it's like he's like a conduit.
Okay, I don't know if I agree with that, but let's take that analogy. Wouldn't that also imply that there is a him, there is his will, and then there's the Father's will? Now, later he says I and the Father are one, which kind of negates that. But point being is there's a distinction between the two wills and the self that's choosing to identify with one over the other. That's three parts.
The man's will is not the man's will. The man's will, what he calls his will, is the demons living through him.
Can he get rid of the demons?
Yeah.
So there has to be a third person that can do the getting rid of.
No, you just don't identify with them.
How is that not getting rid of them?
It is.
Exactly. So you have to get rid of them. The you has to do the getting rid of. Like you have to reject the demons. That means there's the demon, there's the you rejecting the demon, and then there's you picking the other path that's independent of the demon.
But you're not picking the path. That's the thing. It just happens.
Then how is that person accountable? Like, how is there a will
They're
there?
not. That's why they're within God's will.
But they would be held accountable if they were in the demon's will.
Yes.
So there still has to be
Because
somebody
they're
being held
assuming
accountable.
Responsibility for themselves.
Yes, so there has to be a self that is assuming accountability.
But not if you give God the accountability. Not my will, but the Father's.
But you still have to choose to give God the accountability in that case. Like the point is there is a you choosing one option over the other.
Trevor, give me something.
You always have the option to choose right or wrong.
Who is you?
You are you.
Who's you?
You are you.
But who's Trevor?
Well, I don't know.
Right. Exactly.
Exactly.
How does that make your point? He doesn't have to know
Gary,
who he
who are
is
you?
to acknowledge, I'm Gary.
That's your name. Who are
I
you?
think, therefore I am.
Who are you?
It's
Describe
a
yourself.
stupid question. I'm a Christian.
No, it's not.
I'm a Christian. I am a soul. I am a soul who lives in a body. I have a wife. I love my wife.
So you're a husband, you're identifying as a husband. You're
Yeah.
a Christian, you're identifying as a Christian.
Yeah. I am all of those things. I could hypothetically be one and not the other, but there's still an I that has taken on those various identities.
But there doesn't have to be.
But the option exists, and that's the point.
But that's the demons.
The options are the demons. So I could choose I could choose God, and the demons are compelling me to choose God?
No.
So there still
You
has
don't
to be an
choose God.
I.
You stop choosing the demons.
There still is an independent entity doing the stopping.
I think you both are on the same page. It's just a different part of each page.
There's no you, Gary. There's no me. There's no Trevor. We're conduits of God's will, if we allow that.
Conduits are a noun that are independent of God's will, which is also a noun. The sentence structure in which you chose demands there to be multiple components to this concept.
The what? Say that
The
again.
sentence structure you chose demands that there are multiple components to this concept you are describing. There are two nouns. There is, I am a conduit. Conduit is one now. God's will is a separate noun. I am a conduit of God's will. That's two separate nouns. Technically three. I, component, God's will.
Do you think it's sacrilegious to identify as I am?
If you mean it in the Torah's sense, then yeah.
No, if you just say I am, I exist.
No, because English does that all the time.
The I am is the word.
I am. I exist. That's it.
Yeah, that's
When
fine.
you start identifying with things of the world, you're of the world. When you just exist, you're a conduit of God's will, which is what Jesus was.
That doesn't, I don't understand what you're talking about when you say that.
I don't know how else to explain it.
I think you're trying to, this is what I'm hearing, and I don't know if I'm understanding, so I guess that's why we're pursuing this conversation, because I'm not sure. I feel like we're either talking past each other or something, but I'm going to try to understand it. So it sounds like there's no free will in your worldview. So is that the first aspect of what you're saying?
Yeah, I don't believe in free will.
Okay, so it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to mischaracterize what it is you're getting at. Let's imagine you've got an interstellar tide, so let's say a tide of light, and you've got particles, photons, making up that light. The light beam is like God's will. The photons making up the light beam are also God's will, but at the same time, they're also you. And the demons are reaching up from the void and snatching the photons and pulling them out of God's will.
No.
Okay, so then I'm misunderstanding what you're saying. So we need to hit this at a different angle.
The light that you're talking about. So this light ray coming.
Okay.
The photons are all God's will, but when you identify with the world, when you identify with these labels,
okay,
they're like shields against that light ray, because you're enwrapping yourself in this like cocoon of, this describes me, right? This is me. So it doesn't allow you to see the light.
Well, it sounds like you're just saying it's bad to take on labels.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
I'm saying, I'm not even talking on that level. I'm talking that there has to be a you that chooses or rejects the labels.
But how is there a you if you don't identify with anything?
Well, you would be saying that you're basically God under your analogy.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? I don't see how there couldn't be a you. Like there would have to be a third component, some will, that is making choices. Some independent will that is making
God's
choices.
will or the will of the demons that you identify with.
But you're saying you identify. That means you have a choice. And Trevor is holding up scissors for some reason. I don't know why.
I caught a spider.
You caught a spider with scissors.
It was bugging me.
Ah.
Sorry, go on.
I don't know if we sound like idiots or we're having a philosophical conversation, but we're going to limp through this one way or the other.
I don't know either.
So my basic worldview is that you have an independent will and then you're making choices, good choices versus bad choices with that will. All three parts of those are you because you want all of those things at different times. Sometimes you want to be the good guy, sometimes you want to be the bad guy, but at the end of the day, you are going to have to make a choice of one or the other.
I don't feel like there's a you until you start identifying with things.
Well, by that logic, it would be a good thing to identify with things then, because that would create the you.
Yeah, but you don't want that. You want God's will.
Yes, but is it not possible that the you can choose God's will?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because if there's a you, you're identifying with stuff.
How does that deal with what I'm talking about?
I don't understand why you don't understand.
I don't understand because you're trying to like say there's a. It sounds like you're trying to say there's a choice without saying there's a choice. And I'm saying that if there is such a thing as a choice, there has to be a you making the choice.
I think there's only bad choices, I think is what I'm saying. There's only bad choices. Like you're too dumb to make choices.
Okay, I just don't see how that works functionally because it's like if you choose to remain in the flow state, God's will, i.e., then you're still choosing to remain in that flow state, in which case you had a will that made a choice. If you choose to let the demons take you, you still chose to let the demons take you. So in either scenario, there is a you making a choice.
I think it's literally what we were talking about a minute ago. It's the indifference. Like when you're indifferent, God's will takes place, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but you have to choose to be indifferent.
You have to choose to be indifferent.
Like I get all riled up about this politics stuff, which is one of the reasons why I don't like to talk about it. So I mean, I could make the choice to be indifferent about it, but I would still have to make the choice.
Why do you get riled up about the politics?
Because I believe in right and wrong, and I think these people are wrong about different things, or some people are right and some people are wrong about different things. I have a passion for right and wrong. I want to do what God wants me to do, and that matters to me. So I care a lot about doing the right thing.
What makes you think you know right and wrong? Why do you think you have the moral high ground?
Well, mainly because I read the Bible. I do the best I can to study those things, and based on my best knowledge, this particular avenue, be it, let's say, choice A is the right thing to do over choice B. It is better to be married versus sleeping with 1,000 people. One option is inherently better than... No, not inherently as a person, but I made a better choice. Like, in the eyes of God, the you that is me and the you that is her are in equal standing. God loves us both equally. Mm-hmm. Now, I can make a better choice than her, but God will continue to love us both equally regardless of those choices because we have those choices because we have the same inherent value, i.e. we are his creation. Because we are his creation, he loves us equally regardless of our choices, but we still make the choices.
So I'm just going to say, I think you think you have moral high ground because you identify as a Christian.
Okay, why do you think that? Why do you think that?
Because that's what you said.
There's a difference between being a moral high ground, though, and God loving me.
I don't know.
Let's say you're right. No, it's right. God loves us equally. And look, as far as morality goes, the reason God wants us to do the right thing is because we were designed with specific functions for specific purposes. When we act in a way that is not in accordance with that design, we damage ourselves. So it's not like I am trying to prove myself worthy before God. I can't, because God loves me to the maximal degree already. And it doesn't matter the choices I make.
Stop trying.
But there is an optimal way to live versus an unoptimal way to live, and that unoptimal way is inherently damaging to the person. So if somebody makes choices that are quote-unquote morally bad, it's not morally bad because God is going to love them less. That's not how that works. It's morally bad because that person is destroying themselves, and God loves that person because that person is his creation, and he doesn't want to see his own creation destroy itself any more than a parent would want to see their kid commit suicide.
I will be right back.
All right.
Okay.
So it's not about being a better or worse person. I mean, I'm just trying to make sure people don't hurt themselves.
Yeah, but that's not your job.
I feel like it is. I feel like if I don't try to help people, then I'm apathetic. And I think apathy is evil.
If you don't try to help people, it's apathetic.
Like, if you look in Ezekiel, for example, it says one of the things it says is that the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah wasn't homosexuality. It was being overfed and unconcerned. I believe being unconcerned for your fellow man is a sin. Here's another example.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, here's another example. If I turn the other cheek when I am struck, I am a Christian. If I turn the other cheek when my neighbor is struck, I am a coward. Because I have an obligation to do unto my neighbors, I would have them do unto me. And if I was getting beat up, I would want somebody to help me, so I have an obligation to go help that other person.
I don't understand your argument.
Well, you were arguing that I had some sort of moral high ground, and I would say I'm not making these appeals to morality because I think I'm better than her or that I've made better choices than her from a approval of God standpoint. I'm saying I make these appeals to morality because I want her to be maximally happy. I don't know her. Because that's my obligation as a Christian. I have to love people with the agape love of God. I have to love people to the maximal degree. That means helping them even if the task is futile and they're intent on destroying themselves. I have to help people. I have to help her if I can. Maybe I can't. Maybe I have limitations in that.
Your way of helping her is judging her. That's backwards. Whereas like Andrew Tate
Define judging.
Situation,
Define judging.
You're saying, hey, what you did was bad.
Is a kid taking an entire box of Benadryl bad?
Is a kid taking an entire box of Benadryl bad?
If the kid does something out of ignorance that is going to take that child's life, do you or do you not?
Out of ignorance. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Let's say the kid doesn't know. Maybe they don't recognize the
Okay,
label.
the kid might not be, but kids are kids. Like if it's your kid, it's your responsibility.
Okay, well, when it comes to morality, a lot of people don't know what's right and wrong, and they do things that are destructive, and it's our job to try to educate people if we can. Even if they don't listen, we still need to try because we have an obligation to help people. It's not about being a better person. It's about trying to make sure that person is happy when they're 47. No, not at all.
Bonnie Blue would listen to you
No.
or Andrew Tate more?
Probably Andrew Tate more. And I would argue that Andrew Tate's being much more effective because he's being sardonic. I think he's talking to her in a way that hopefully she'll understand in the future.
Yeah.
I would certainly argue he's being more effective. Yeah, he's not judging her in the cliche liberal sense. Like, judging means condemnation of any kind. And yeah, it's true that if you condemn people, they typically don't listen. But somebody still has to say what right and wrong is. Even if it's just on a collective broad level, because somebody has to understand what the standard bearer is.
You think she doesn't know, dude?
Yeah, she knows because somebody at some point taught it to her and she rejected it.
Okay, then why is it your job? Why are you taking that responsibility?
Because in the same way that God knocks on the door of the heart of every man over and over and over and over and over again, the same way that he chooses to try to save people until the day they die, so too must Christians try to say what is right and wrong, even if people don't listen, because since God worked so hard to save us, we have to work hard to save other people. And yes, we fail, but we don't do the right thing because we want the right outcome. We do the right thing because it is right. We have a meeting with our Maker, and he wants us to love other people the same way we are loved.
Unconditionally, without judgment?
Unconditionally. That doesn't mean without judgment. You can say that your kid is doing something wrong and still love them as your child.
Yeah, but Bonnie Blue's not your kid.
No, but God gave us an order to love our fellow man as if they are our kids to the maximal degree, to care for everybody as much as we possibly can, given our limited capabilities.
Where is that?
When God says you should love your neighbor as yourself, that's where that is.
I don't know, dude. I would still argue that what Andrew Tate is doing is more effective than you caring so much.
I agree. I don't disagree with you there. I do think it is more effective. And I would never have this conversation with her. Why is my way better?
Yeah.
I'm not saying my way is better than Andrew Tate's.
I mean, you are. I mean, I'm arguing on the side of Andrew Tate that him being...
I never was in opposition to Andrew Tate.
Right, but you're saying I need to help this person. Like,
I need to help everybody, not this person specifically. I need to help people by saying what is right and wrong. Somebody has to say what is right and wrong. Somebody has to be the quote-unquote, from Andrew Tate's perspective, somebody has to be the guy screaming that traditionalism is the way to go. From his perspective, it's Islam. Well, in his worldview, somebody's got to be the imam saying that Islam is the right way. That ain't Andrew Tate, but somebody's got to do that. And everybody's called to different things, and they have different purposes. And they're, as the words of Paul, some people are meant to build the foundation or water the field. Some people are meant to till the earth. Some people watch the crop grow. Some people reap. Other people do the sowing. We all have our own job.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm not complaining about what Andrew Tate did. Well, God, and presumably he does that through his... Yes, not me. But presumably that is done through our talents and our skill sets and what we're good at. Andrew Tate is very charismatic. He's very charming. He's very outspoken. And he is very effective at what he is doing. And he's done a good job at it. So I have no complaints of what Andrew Tate is doing. The only thing I meant earlier was that this kind of thing that he's mentioning, this tactic he's taking, can go too far into nihilism. That was my only point.
You take a side.
Yeah, and people do.
Yeah, but he's not.
No, he's not. He's not doing it. I wasn't saying he was defaulting to nihilism. I'm saying it's a risk of the tactic he's using, but that doesn't mean he's doing it.
Yeah. I just think he's not identifying with either side, which is my...
Yeah, he's...
And that's the most effective route. And I think that's the route that God wants us to take, is to not take sides.
It's the most effective route probably for her. I don't know if it's the most effective route for everybody. People require different things because people are in different phases of life. And my tactic would be more effective for some. His tactic would be more effective for others. We all have to play to our skill sets to try to reach as many people as we can.
I don't know, man. I've tried both in my life, and when I wanted to help everybody, it didn't help.
Well, maybe that's just because it's your circle of influence. Maybe it's because of the people you associate with. That doesn't mean people are the same everywhere.
Okay.
I would argue that what I do, talking about the love of God versus, morality being like destructive versus constructive or whatever, when somebody is like at the point of the rock bottom in addiction and they're trying to climb out of it, I think this kind of messaging is particularly helpful. She ain't there. She hasn't hit her rock bottom. Who knows if she ever will? But when somebody does, I think what I'm saying is particularly effective. But not everybody's in that place. There's no way this speech would be effective for her, not at all. I wouldn't expect it to. I would say his tactic's much more effective for her, but people are not the same.
All right. I mean, you keep trying to find that person. But
What are you talking about? I have found that person. You don't know who I've helped and who I haven't helped.
Okay.
Okay. So, anyway. All right, so we're going to move on to 135. And we'll listen to here.
Home, and your woman doesn't listen to you, and she doesn't suck your dick, and you're paying all these taxes, and your kids ignore you, and they just watch YouTube, and you're not the man of anything, why are you going to stand up and rebel on the street? You don't give a shit. You've lost all vested interest and protection. Your protective instinct has been neutered. You're a eunuch. That is why feminism is used. This is the point I'm making about certain groups of men using women as a conduit to destroy other groups of men. Women are not the gun. Women are the bullet. Men still hold the guns. Feminism is a bullet that a man has shot. This is what most people don't understand about all of these ideals. And what I'm saying is, the society we have built has encouraged women to be as promiscuous, as rebelling, as open, as sexual, and to get as much money as possible. And Bonnie has just played the game the best and won the game. The game is chess. She's a grandmaster at it. You can't complain about the grandmaster. You have to complain about the game of chess. So it's completely asinine for anybody to ever give Bonnie a hard time about anything she's doing ever. When in fact, she's just the best at the game that's currently being played. Because 99% of women are trying to do the same thing as her, which is use their pussy to get some money.
And that doesn't bother you hearing that?
No, it's factual. It's the truth. So why could I be offended? If you're offended by something that's factual, then change it. If I was offended by calling a prostitute and slut slag, then I should change that. But how can I sit there and say I'm ever offended by anyone telling me that what's the truth?
And Rob, and I want to make something clear. I really do try and ground myself in absolute logic in all ways. And that's why I'm extremely hard on myself. I've said to you in previous podcasts that what happened to me about jail and all this shit, it was me. I take absolute responsibility for everything that's ever happened to me. I'm not a person who blames anyone else. Considering women just want status and money, don't think I haven't thunk about the fact about the women who say they love me. I'm not dumb. I love you so much. I love you. I love you. Of course. I love that you're attractive. I love that you're attractive and you do as I say. And you love that I'm very famous and very rich and I give you a lifestyle. Now you say you'd love me if I didn't give you the lifestyle. But if I didn't give you the lifestyle, how would I even be me? How am I me with no money? How am I me with no status? How am I me with no power? Who am I then? I'm a different person. So I know you're with me because you get things, and I'm with you because I get things. It's transactional. All relationships are transactional. This podcast is a transaction. This is how things work. So I'm not stupid enough to believe the women who say they love me, even though they say they love me, and even though they mean it when they say it, they're not smart enough to analyze that they are doing a transaction because they don't think of it that way. They just feel love. Oh, I love you so much. Oh, you love me so much. We're just cruising in the Lambo and we're just in, oh, you're just, all of a sudden you say you love me. They don't even realize what they're doing. I do. I understand the world very well.
But isn't love a human need?
Love is a transaction.
It's a human need.
Women love who protect and provide for them, whether they're the French soldier or the German soldier, sir.
So that's what I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
Agree or disagree? Love is a transaction.
I think I agree with him. I think I agree with him. Because I think the love that you're talking about it's of the flesh. It's like it's thoughts and feelings. It is part of the flesh. Like, and Jesus says the heart is wicked. So it's like, I think God's love and our love they're two different things.
So you would say that would you say all human love is transactional and God's love is not transactional?
I would say God's love comes through us sometimes, but the typical emotions that we feel are of the flesh and by way of that transactional.
I think I disagree with Andrew there. I think we're called to love people in a way that is non-transactional. We start out loving people.
Yeah, we're called that. That's God's love.
Yeah.
I mean, like us achieving that is very difficult.
We have to be shown it first, I would argue.
Yeah.
But
That's why Christ is so important.
and it's why unconditional love, and that's why saved by grace through faith and once saved, always saved is so important. Because if you believe that even your relationship with the Almighty is transactional, then every relationship in your life is always going to be transactional. It could be no other way. This is the importance of Christianity. This is the importance of forgiveness. This is the importance of God loving you no matter how stupid you are. And this is also the great gamble between Satan and God, which is why I pulled up Job 1. So allow me to read Job chapter 1. Okay. Let me scroll down and try to find where Satan comes into the story. So, and the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made a hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon thy himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord, and there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabaeans fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell you. And the story goes on from there. And Job's response to all this was, Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return hither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. So the story of Job is basically that very gamble. Is every relationship among men simply transactional? Or can a man love somebody, love God, in spite of the negative repercussions of that affection? So it's an interesting question. I would say that a man starts out with transactional relationships, but he can learn to be more.
Yeah.
So
sure.
That was my other criticism of Andrew Tate. Well, really my only one, if I were to have one. So.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's the end goal, but I mean, if you're operating through the flesh, you know, I mean, like the flesh is all you're going to ever understand.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree with that.
So I don't know.
So Trevor, sorry.
Bonnie. Oh, Bonnie did say something else about.
Want me to pull it up?
I don't know. Might be stupid.
That's wrong.
So she talks about sex workers and how, like, if she were to. She talks about Andrew Tate sending his son to her, like to lose his virginity, because she would instruct him on how to treat a woman's body. And I think that it's interesting. It's an interesting thought. I mean, like in a perfect world, two 18-year-old kids take each other's virginity and like get married and have babies, and you know, in a perfect world.
Mhm.
But that's not reality most of the time.
I would argue that.
So it's
sorry, go on.
It's an interesting question to pose if it would like to train a boy to take care of a woman. You know, I don't know. I just thought it was.
I think when it comes to being one flesh, suffering is the point. You're supposed to be virgins because neither one of you is supposed to know what you're doing. It's not just about pleasure. It's about learning together. And it's about building that relationship through learning together. That's the idea. And that's part of the misnomer with all this is they think the goal is to be happy, or a lot of these people think the goal is to be happy. And I don't think Andrew Tate thinks that. But a lot of people believe the goal is to be happy. No, it's learning to suffer together, learning to be one flesh. And by doing that, you will eventually become happy. But
yeah,
that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Trevor, what are your thoughts?
Joy unspeakable.
There you go. I think we're going to wrap it up here, boys and girls.
It's getting late.
Yep. This is the last episode of the night. So, guys, thank you so much for watching, indeed. And we will see you next time.
Later.
Bye.